on that. But ultimately, the Chiefs made the plays. The Ravens did not make the plays. We can talk about what Rashee Rice looked like, which I absolutely want to talk about what Rashee Rice looked like. I know people are loving it and going crazy for Xavier Worthy, and I'm here for it. I am here for all of it. But last night, to me, Sterling, was Rashee Rice announcing himself that he is a legit high-end number 2, maybe bordering, depending on what he can do the rest of the year and how different defenses may cover him, bordering on a number 1 receiver in how he's played. And the end of the season last year, into the postseason, having the second most yards after catch in a postseason run by any rookie in NFL history, only behind Jamar Chase. Pretty decent name to be next to. That's a good point. I'm not going to say his name. We'll see if his name is called this weekend when the Bengals go out there, although he did practice yesterday. But this was a game plan that the Chiefs had prepared for the Ravens. And while Zach Orr was, getting some love throughout the game by Chris Collinsworth, there were a couple of times when it was sort of confusing when Chris Collinsworth was loving somebody up and praising somebody that I was like, I'm not sure I'm on the same page here.
Yeah.
Zach Orr, he was talking about how great of a job he finally got this opportunity, and look what he's done in this game. And he also did the same thing with Kingsley Suamataia when he was like, this left tackle, Mike, this left tackle, Mike, I tell you what, second rounder.
I did miss now here's a guy.
This second rounder from BYU, Mike. This guy, Andy loves him, some Kingsley. And every clip they showed was Kingsley getting beat, which was odd. But they're talking about Zach Orr and being a first-time play caller. And I'm like, how great can the defensive coordinator be if he keeps lining up a linebacker on Rashee Rice? He keeps putting a linebacker on Rice in the slot. What in the hell are you doing? Are you dumb? Like, are you just plain stupid? Like, it's one thing to have a game plan where you think but eventually you'll adjust. Justin Simpson and Roquan Smith on Rashee Rice is not a good matchup. You're that scared, and I get it. That's great. Maybe it is all about Xavier Worthy. Like, you're that scared of Xavier Worthy going over the top? You're that worried about Justin Watson? I mean, Travis Kelce certainly want to be worried about, but isn't that what they have Kyle Hamilton for? I mean, right? They got Kyle Hamilton, the Travis Kelce stopper. Well, maybe he did it in this game. Certainly didn't do it in the AFC Championship game. But linebackers on Rashee Rice, that's just dumb. And maybe this was a product of an indefensible defensive scheme. But Rashee Rice, Mahomes kept going to him. He kept making the catch. He kept making the plays with the yards after the catch. And that's just little passes at or near the line of scrimmage that they were taking advantage of. If they weren't guarding him like that, he's still a guy Mahomes was looking for. He's still a guy Mahomes wants to go to. And even on the I don't know if I cut the clip or put it here on the interception. I didn't, but I'll just paraphrase. When he said on the interception that he should have just thrown it to Kelce, but he got greedy and wanted to get it to Rice. So he was waiting a little bit longer for Rice to come open. I should have just thrown it to Kelce?
Yeah.
But I was waiting to get it to Rashee Rice? Words I didn't think I'd hear as long as Kelce was still playing.
Well, and this is what I said going into the game. I've said it for a little bit now. It's almost like he's forgotten about, because it was all about the newness of Hollywood. It was, is Travis Kelce back to going over 1,000 yards? Is Xavier Worthy the first round? Is he going to help open up this offense, which, again, he did? But I kept wondering, like, why are we talking about Rashee Rice, a guy who went for 938 last year, whose average depth of target was like negative yards until week 8. The first play that was a deep ball he caught was on a broken play. He was like, no, I'm going deep. The guy can't guard me here. Like, why were we not more enthused about Rashee? And so I have high hopes for Rashee. And this game obviously didn't.
You like Panic at the Disco, right? There's no Panic at the Disco for Rashee Rice with you, huh?
No, I'm more of a Fall Out Boy guy myself.
That's fine.
It's like Briscoe.
But
But with Rashee Rice, it wasn't just what he did, which were some of those phenomenal. He put Roquan Smith in a blender multiple times. There was one specific one where I go, oh my goodness.
Ankles.
Yes, just Allen Iverson crossover, basically.
My son said ankles, and I assume that means that Roquan Smith broke his ankles.
Or it could be he's got a knee, he's got a groin, he's got
a little bit of a knee. He's got himself a little bit of a knee.
But I also want to point out some of those throws Mahomes did make on those RPOs, the ones over the top. I don't know how many quarterbacks make those throws. I don't know how many quarterbacks that ball's not being knocked down, how many times that he's not patient enough, how many of the quarterbacks are just trying to force the ball there. Because at times, there was a linebacker. When they were in zone, there was a linebacker in the way. Mahomes just had perfect touch to get it to Rashee over the middle. So I think it's a combination of, yeah, maybe Baltimore should have learned, especially going man-to-man with Rashee, but there were a couple of throws that Mahomes made over the middle that I don't know if any other QB in the NFL makes.
The Chiefs' first 2 touchdown drives faced 1 third down. They had 1 third down on those 2 touchdown drives. And, coming out of half, up 13-10, 5-yard run by Pacheco. The double clutch to Rashee Rice on what would have been a slant, and he waited for, Chris Collins, we were talking about the bandit. He waited for that bandit to come underneath, thinking that it was going to be a quick pass, and then Rashee Rice reading it and then going over the top, and Mahomes hitting him in stride for 34 yards on a double clutch. The very next play, Mahomes, they had that little, what was going to be a rollout to Kelsey, and he pump faked and then cut inside the defender and then found Justin Watson for 20 yards. Pacheco, a 9-yard run. That was also a holding by Kingsley, but then they got the roughing the passer by Nnamdi Madubuike. Noah Gray, 16-yard catch on 1st and goal, and then on 1st and 10, and then 1st and goal at the 2 was Isaiah Pacheco's touchdown. In fact, that entire drive they faced 2 second downs.
Yeah, that was
second and 5. They picked up 34 yards. 2nd and 20. They got the roughing the passer penalty.
Overall, offensively, this is what I expected.
Yeah,
this is what I think we all expected. And again, we can talk about Isaiah Likely's comments, but no, they did not play their best game. Juju Smith-Schuster had a tough catch. I think that would have been a very tough catch. I think if you ask him again, he makes that catch 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10. More than likely, he makes that catch.
Yeah.
Samaje Perine.
More times than Juju made that catch last night, so not more than likely.
Anyway, Isaiah Pacheco had one that I think he wants back. Yeah. Samaje Perine definitely has one that he wants back.
I think Mahomes and Perine want that one back.
Yeah, I think it was a combo.
Because Mahomes threw it out a little bit in front of him, and maybe that's one where Mahomes, a week from now, that thing might be right in his arms.
Sure.
Kelsey wants one back on 2nd down and 5 down at
Kelsey
the
had
8-yard line.
But again, overall, I think I was very impressed with the game plan. I love how Andy Reid was able to use Xavier Worthy for all the talk about, well, can he get off the line of scrimmage? Yeah, you saw. It's not John Ross. It's not Darius Hayward-Bay. It's not just 40 speed. It's game speed. And that's what was so impressive. That 21-yard run that he got out in space on, no one got close to touching him. He was by them. That's game speed. I was impressed by that. Obviously, the broken coverage was lovely to see, but I love the game plans of Andy. Also, that wheel route when he moved Isaiah Pacheco out to the. I mean, just some of the offensive excitement I saw that was all lacking last year. There was none of this last year. I don't think they had the horses to get that done last year. This is different. 27, I think, is the low watermark for the Chiefs scoring this season.
Xavier Worthy, 3 touches, 2 touchdowns. And I think it's going to be something the defense are going to have to worry about. I wouldn't guard him.
Guy's not even Keon Coleman.
Thank you, Buffalo.
I don't understand why everybody's talking about Buffalo there. The guy's fast, and that's it. Who cares how fast the guy is? He's not a wide receiver. Look at all these fast 40 times at the combine. Tell me what they have in common. Tell me who the outlier is. Okay.
Tariq Woolen.
CJ2K. Awesome. There's your guy. One guy. What about the wide? Look at all these wide receivers that came and went in these fast 40 times. Xavier Worthy, X, he's just going to be another one of those guys. And you know what? Buffalo traded down, got extra picks, and got their guy. They didn't want Xavier Worthy. Why would you want that guy? You don't need somebody that an entire defense has to game plan for. You don't need that guy that Rashee Rice said after the game he heard them talking when he was in the stack formation and Xavier Worthy was near him, that they're talking about Xavier Worthy. They're discussing what Xavier Worthy's going to do, and he's getting ready to run a route and pick up 15 yards because they're discussing Xavier Worthy. Why would you want that guy? No, Buffalo. X going to give it to you. No, Buffalo gave it to him. We appreciate it. Thank you. It's another win for the Chiefs over the Bills. Every time Mahomes throws it to Worthy, we can thank the Bills.
I want to listen to more DMX right now. That's all I just want to listen to more DMX.
What? I think there will be plenty of other games where X is going to give it to him.
And the Chiefs
are going to give it to X.
Well, and the Chiefs offense going to roll.
Reed's going to give it to him. And then X going to give it to him.
But it is interesting because Buffalo, obviously with the Mahomes trade, they kind of the same thing where they ended up in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have been the perfect spot, right? They ended up with they did a great job. They ended up getting Josh Allen. They had, I think, was Matt Milano part of that?
No, it was Tremaine Edmonds.
Tremaine Edmonds, Tre'Davious White. They did a good job, really good job.
White and Edmonds and Zay Jones are the three guys they ended up with, because Edmonds they drafted, White they drafted later on, and then one of the picks that they used, they traded up to get Zay Jones.
And they did a great job, but it wasn't Mahomes. And again, with this one, I think Keon Coleman's going to be really good. Guess what? It ain't Xavier Worthy.
Yep. That final play of the game, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk about how the Chiefs came away with the victory, what we saw from the offense overall, outside of just a couple of specific players. Certainly eyes on Kingsley Suamataia, eyes on the running game, eyes defensively, what the secondary looked like, the second cornerback, the defensive line after Chris Jones, the linebackers. We'll talk about it all coming up here in the show. We will hang out with Matt Derrick coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Kendall Gammon at noon. Mick Schaefer coming up later on as well. Text comes in. Rashee Rice equals body blows. Yeah, and Worthy might be the knockout punch, but Rashee Rice, I think, has a chance to be both, to be body blows and a knockout punch, because it's a pretty decent knockout punch when you've got 100 yards receiving and 7 receptions and a 33-yarder. So that's not, Julian Edelman, 10 receptions, 100 yards, and a long of 10.
But you know what it is?
All 10 yards.
10.
Like in terms of Julian Edelman, it's the 3 3rd and 10s in overtime in the AFC Championship that break your back.
Exactly.
We got Gronk covered. Oh, wait, we forgot Julian.
Yep, right. And Rashee Rice might be both.
Yeah.
It is both. He could be both. Body blow, home run hitter. Body blow, home run. He could be both. He could be both. The offense is back, baby. They left points on the board, and they still put 27 on the Ravens.
Wasn't even the over. Told you guys.
Killed it.
46.5.
Nailed it. A little annoyed at that last field goal because I had 27-17 as my final. Yeah. Of course, you had the Ravens on top, but that's okay.
No, you call that emotional. You know what's funny? Didn't I have 28-27 too?
28-27 was the final that you had.
Which would have been absolutely heartbreaking if I was like, I saw it unfolding in front of my eyes. I'm like, no, how did I get this? I jinxed it.
That would have been, whoa, that's right. Wow, yeah, if they went for 2.
They would have gone for 2.
28-27, and we'd have came in and just punched you.
Oh, that would have sucked. That's called emotional hedging.
The punching wouldn't have sucked for us, but I mean, for you would have got punched in the face and the gut.
Well, we would have been punched the night previous.
Right,
we were
and
just
then
returning.
Exactly. It would have been Rashee Rice, but we would have been the ones with the body blows.
Well, there's only 365 more days till hockey tryouts, so
got to get ready. More so next. because they got screwed in the game last night. Did you see the official on that play? So the side judge, people didn't see this. I had to go back and rewind it a couple times. Did you see the side judge go and nudge Nelson Aguilar away from blocking Trent McDuffie? Did you see that? Nelson Aguilar was clearly going to sit there and block Trent McDuffie, but the referee ran on the field and threw a shoulder into him to where he missed the block on McDuffie, and McDuffie came in and made a play. I mean, it's ridiculous. The refs are just out to get other teams. How did nobody see that or talk about it? I mean, great play by McDuffie, clearly created by the officials in making sure Nelson Aguilar did not do his job on that play, which would have been an easy first down and maybe another 20 yards after the catch.
Oh, yeah.
If Aguilar had done his job, but unfortunately the officials did not allow him to do that.
I love when the officials made Lamar Jackson miss a wide-open Zay Flowers in the end zone for a touchdown.
What about a wide-open Isaiah Likely in the corner? Did you see the all-22 on that one?
Oh, yeah.
How early Likely was open, how late Lamar Jackson recognized it, and how far he threw the ball to a 6'4" guy. Brian Cook was 3 yards behind him. He's 6'4". The last place you want to do that is throw it out of bounds.
Mahomes likely would have hit him.
Mahomes absolutely. I liked it. Mahomes absolutely would have hit him.
By the way, going back to that specific play of Trent McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie, yeah.
That was just phenomenal.
Great.
It's a big ask of Spagnuolo and Dave Merritt, but that's kind of been the staple of their defense. It's, hey, we might have cornerbacks who don't get a whole bunch of interceptions, but they're going to tackle one-on-one on the outside. More often than not, they're going to bring the receiver down. And you look around the NFL, you watch games on Sundays, 80% of the time that's broken for a first down.
Yeah.
80% of the time that's picked up and the cornerback gets dragged. Not McDuffie, not Watson, not Williams. Like, I've always been impressed. Najee Johnson on special teams.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm
Great
just
play.
always impressed by the ability of the Chiefs' corners one-on-one on the outside, and they come up making the play.
Let's hear from Andy Reid. This is clip number 1 on the final play, what he saw on that big toe from Isaiah Likely in the back of the end zone. I thought it was a catch until they showed the first replay from behind the end zone, and I'm like, oh, that's close. Second replay, it was done. It was over. You knew his foot was on the line. Here's Patrick Mahomes, clip number 5, on what he saw from that final play. I don't know that Likely would appreciate that advice. I think Likely may take offense to that particular thing. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with the Chiefs. Matt Derrick will join us at 11 o'clock, and we'll get into a lot about the Kansas City Chiefs. But let me say this about the Ravens. And maybe even throw in the complaints about the refs, which we hear every game, right? I mean, in Kansas City, we're used to it. Like, a dude that I follow, and he follows me from back in Louisville. A lot of Ravens fans in Louisville now because of Lamar, and it was the actual called late hit out of bounds on Patrick Mahomes, and it was like, well, there's your makeup call for your golden child. I'm like, makeup call? What? It's not a makeup call. That was legit. Both of them were legit. No, the first one wasn't one. If the first one wasn't one, then why would it need to be a makeup call? Yeah. You dumbass. First of all. Secondly, on this one, if you are a fan of a running quarterback, I'm pretty sure you want the quarterback protected when they get to the sideline.
Yeah.
Because the one thing the Chiefs defenders did was when Lamar was near the sideline, they held up. They stopped. It's why Jalen Watson got trucked.
I was going to say, yeah, because Lamar cut back and then tried to lower his shoulder into him.
He was going out of bounds, and Watson was going to then knock him out of bounds, and Lamar was the one that forced the contact because Jalen Watson can't really do that on the sideline because if he goes to do that and then Lamar jumps out of bounds and he's hit, well, then maybe they throw the flag. And just the back and forth of then it immediately goes into the officials and everybody on Twitter says this is so goofy and it's all in the Chiefs' favor. But let me just say this a couple of things about what happened last night and from the Ravens standpoint. I don't know what the end of the season is going to look like or what the postseason is going to look like if they meet again. I know one thing what's going to look like is the Ravens will be wearing white jerseys if they play again in the postseason. That's what I do know. But I don't know what their identity is going to be later on this year because right now they have an identity crisis. When Derrick Henry's on the field, they're one-dimensional, and Lamar's under center, and they become pretty predictable. Lamar and that offense was much better with Justice Hill out there because Lamar was able to do Lamar things.
Sure.
And you got to let Lamar be Lamar, and Derrick Henry sort of ties his hands a little bit. In theory, it sounds great to add that running back, and then you get some. But Derrick Henry plays with a quarterback in the shot in under center, and Lamar plays predominantly in the shotgun. So I think they have an identity crisis right now, because most of Lamar's damage came on scrambles, not designed runs where it was mesh point keep. Let me go around the outside and let me beat him.
Sure.
Mesh point. Let me go off tackle here. It was scrambles, which kudos to the secondary. You know, we'll see the all-22 and maybe get a better idea of how the secondary played. But I would say first blush, given the fact that Lamar's damage came on the ground in scrambles, credit to the secondary. But the refs didn't put a linebacker on Rashee Rice in the slot all day. Yeah. The refs didn't leave Worthy wide open. The refs didn't miss three receivers on the final drive, on the final three plays. The refs didn't, for some reason, call a play. Like this... College and NFL teams do this all the time, and it's one of the most infuriating things, and I'm glad the Ravens did it. An inability to understand what's your enemy. Throughout the game, the downs are your enemy.
Oh, yeah.
The end of the game, the clock is your enemy.
Agreed.
Not the downs. Spike the ball. Spike. I would love somebody to do a study on how many times a team gets up there trying to run a play, and it still ends up incomplete. 34 seconds, Bateman. Don't even argue with me. You're dead wrong if you want to argue with me.
No, I didn't hate that one.
It was terrible. I loved it. Bateman caught the ball with 34 seconds. Isaiah Likely incomplete with 10 seconds.
No, I get it.
It was the exact same result you would have got if you ran up there and spiked. They got 3 plays off.
Sure.
You weren't going to run 4 plays.
Well, if you
weren't going to run 4 plays.
If you got it quicker up there, you could have. And that was the thought process
But that's the point.
behind
You're
it.
not going to get it quicker up there because your offensive line, your wide receivers, you're trying to call a play. Instead of just sprinting down, spike the ball, then call a play. You've got 3 plays from the 10-yard line to score a touchdown and plenty of time that if you get sacked or run the ball or get tackled before the end zone, you still have life. Now you've got 2 plays after the incomplete pass, and you can't get tackled in bounds, and you've got to throw it to the end zone each and every time. It's just absurd. College and NFL teams do this all the time. They forget what the enemy is. The clock was the Ravens' enemy, not the downs. They weren't going to run 4 plays down there.
I thought the biggest indictment was actually when they were down, what was it, 10 or whatever it would have been, with 7 or so minutes left in the fourth, and they kept letting the play clock go down, or the play clock go down to 2 and 1. That's what I thought you were getting to because they had no sense of urgency.
Well, I mean, the refs made them burn 2 timeouts earlier in the half.
Of course they did. And by the way, according to people on X, obviously the Chiefs would be 0-17. They would never win a game if it wasn't for the refs.
Right.
They'd be 0-17.
Well, X
Pretty
last
incredible.
night gave it to them. That's for sure. A couple of different times in the end zone. And last but not least, and we'll take a break and we'll hear from Lee Sterling with Todd Lebo getting you ready for the weekend's worth of games. Lamar had a good game, put up a lot of numbers. Lamar's the reason they were in the game. Lamar's also the reason why they didn't tie the game or win the game.
Yeah.
With the credit goes the blame as well. You're an MVP. You had an open Likely, an open Zay Flowers, and an open Likely. You threw it over the head of Isaiah Likely and late. You threw it to no man's land when Zay Flowers was wide open, and then you saw Likely late. And you threw it to him late, which allowed Tranquil and Nick Bolton to run and at least get a hand on Likely. Because if he threw it when Likely runs past Drew Tranquil, for some reason, Nick Bolton was like, we're good. I don't need to guard him. I'll just stand here guarding nobody. And Drew Tranquil, by the way, watch Drew Tranquil on the All-22. When he's there and Lamar starts to step up and Lamar's looking towards Likely, Drew Tranquil turns around and then puts his arms up like Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
As in like, Nick, where the bleep are you? I handed him off to you. Why are you letting him go? Because he did. Handed him off to him. Bolton looks to his left. Likely runs by him. And then Bolton just stands there and starts to look to his right and fade. And then Drew turns around and is like, what the bleep? We'll talk about the rough game for number 32 as well. But that didn't matter. In the end, they won the game because the quarterback who's the MVP and the best player in the NFL did not make one throw on 3 plays to 3 guys who were wide open. Missed 2 of them and was late on the 3rd.
I'll take the 4th best player in the NFL.
Every day.
$400-9741 to get started.
Welcome back into the zone on this not Red Friday, Victory Friday, as I guess what you call this. Chiefs got the big win last night against the Baltimore Ravens at home, and it's time to talk to Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports, who is off to a red-hot start, 8-1 last week. Lee, how about this? What have you got for our listeners this week?
Yeah, so it was a great – it's so important that first week because if I'm studying all summer and you go, let's say, 5-7, then you start questioning yourself. But I think we were right on the money. I can't remember the last time. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago where we released a 40-plus unit release where we're 66-23 lifetime. That's 74% opening week. But just thought Nebraska was so much better than last year. Thought that this kid Raiola was going to be the kid that finally gets them back to where they used to be, back to prominence, maybe in a playoff, if not this year, probably next year, the year after. And then Miami thought that they were back. So We went with some big plays. They hit, and I think it's going to continue. It looks like I have another 40 to 45 unit release, so we're going to just keep rolling with it. And anyone who wants to jump on board, don't wait too late. Don't wait until October or November and say, hey, I need some help now. Why not build the bankroll? You can get an entire month from now all the way through September 30th. We call it September to Remember, just $4.97. It's our phone service where we rate the games from 10 to 50 units. You're going to get between 9 and 13 games every single week, and had 29 out of 30 years in business. So ParamountSports.com for the monthly deal or for the season. I just lowered it to $14.97. There's services out there charging $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and they don't even win. It comes out to $60 a week. Everything's up and available. Also, a ton of free pick videos. We can't go through every single game. Let's say you want to see, a big game like Texas and Michigan, or Nebraska, Colorado, Iowa State, Oklahoma State, or Arkansas. All those free pick videos that are like 2 minutes long, they're up and available, ParamountSports.com.
All right, we didn't get to talk about all the locals last week because Kansas and Missouri played on Thursday, but it's all Saturday football this week for our locals. Let's talk about Missouri. Big favorites at home over Buffalo. They were really impressive early, especially last week in their opener against Murray State.
So, Buffalo, this is a bad football team. They scored a total of 43 points, with 17 points being their high against Wisconsin when they're taking on the last four Power 5 schools. So they're going to really need to improve on that to have any chance here. And if you want to extend a lead, how do you do it? You do it with a good backup quarterback, Drew Pine. I mean, this kid that played at Notre Dame, he's going to be backing up Brady Cook here. He was 10 for 11 in relief of Cook here. He led to that 51-0 whitewash of FCS Murray State here. So just think that Buffalo's quarterback is a kid. He's a senior with a career completion percentage. Get this, of 49.3% here. Good luck with that. Just think the star wideouts, Luther Burden III and Theo Weiss, they only totaled 6 of the 29 catches last week. They'll let themselves get a little bit stretched out here. I like Missouri big here, 52-10.
K-State is on the road against Tulane. True road game for the Cats. They are a 9-point favorite.
Freshman quarterback for Tulane, this kid, Darian Mensah, he looked good in the first game, but it was against lesser competition. So you got to get explosive passing games against a team like Kansas State if you want to have a chance here. I just think that Avery Johnson and the running backs, Giddens, and also Colorado transfer Dylan Edwards, probably the difference here. Kansas State 14-11 straight up in away games here. I like the under. I like the under here the best. So we're sitting here at a line of like 9.5. I have them winning 26-14, so slight cover, but let's also look at the under 49. I think it's a real good way to take this game.
All right, the Kansas Jayhawks, big game for them last year was beating Illinois. That was kind of like a thing for them to kind of announce their arrival. They're at Illinois this week. Illinois won big. Kansas won big. Step up in competition for both of them. What do you think about the Kansas Jayhawks being a favorite at a Power 5 school on the road?
Well, I think the public's going to be all over Illinois here. A Big Ten defense. As a home underdog, that's usually what the public loves here. But they were trailing in that game 21-0 after 4 possessions. They were down 28-7 at halftime. Rewatched the game 34-7 mid-third quarter. Only had the ball for 23 minutes in that game. So they also brought their Big Ten officiating crew to that game. Now we'll see a Big 12 officiating crew. So I don't think we're going to see Kansas get home job, and they finally have their quarterback finally healthy. I think he's a difference maker here. Unless Illinois can control the line of scrimmage and utilize their 250-pound running back sophomore Caden Fagan, I think they're in trouble here. I just think Kansas has too many playmakers here. College football is all about getting the ball to kids who can make a play, elude a tackle, and go 60, 70, 80 yards. Kansas has a slew of those guys. Illinois doesn't here. We'll go with Kansas 30-20.
All right, Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports is with us. Let's talk a little NFL as well, as the rest of the league will get kicked off on Sunday. Dallas Cowboys are always a story. They're always a big deal. Everyone talks about them all the time. They're opening at Cleveland, who is actually a slight favorite at home with the Browns, and they've had quarterback issues all of last year. Can Dallas come in here and make some noise?
I don't know if you realize this, Todd, but the Chiefs are the only team that have won more games than the Cowboys the last 3 seasons. Pretty impressive. Dallas, though, I don't know if they're going to – I think they're going to be the most disappointing team here because why do I say that? Breaking in a couple new offensive line starters, really weak. Maybe the worst running backs in the NFL. Lost their elite defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn. He became the head coach of the Commanders. Now, there is no Nick Chubb here, and it remains to be seen how healthy Deshaun Watson is. But the Browns' defense, they're the one constant. We know that they're going to show up here, especially at home. They give up only 13.8 points per game last season compared to on the road where they gave up 31 points. Myles Garrett, 46 sacks the last 3 years, is sure to give problems here to this Dallas new offensive line here. I like Cleveland. Lower scoring game, 24-17 over Dallas.
All right, and a big game in the south of the AFC. Houston was the division champ last year. They're going to be playing at the Colts. They're a slight favorite on the road here. What do you think about this one? Anthony Richardson's healthy. We get this matchup of highly drafted quarterbacks from last year.
I don't know what it is, but Indianapolis can't play opening week. 11 years, 13 quarterbacks ago. That's how long it's been since the Colts won an opening game. They're 0-9-1 straight up, 1-9 against the spread the first game during the last 10 seasons. They failed to cover 9 straight opening weeks. So I don't see this pattern changing all of a sudden. I think the Texans are an emerging team here. They beefed up their defense here. They added Daniel Hunter. Danico Autry, also linebacker Azeez Al-Shahir. They did a lot. I mean, the Houston also added Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. They might have the best 3-receiver combo in the NFL with Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell. I think that C.J. Stroud is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and the Colts will be without Josh Downs, their second-best receiver for the early part of the season due to an ankle sprain. Let's go with Houston here, 28-17.
All right, you got a free play for us, and it includes your hometown team down there who you had a great read on last year.
Yeah, they were good early and not so good late. So we'll see what happens here. Opening week, is this a trap line? Can Jacksonville pull off the upset, or can the Dolphins, which were great early in the season, continue that mastery? First 5 callers, we're going to give it to them for free. 800-400-9741. Again, the number, 800-400-9741. Miami and Jacksonville on me. I'll also give them the Chargers in Vegas. Both games, these are 2 huge games to open the season. Chargers in Vegas, Miami and Jacksonville on me. First 5 callers, 800-400-9741. And check out all the specials. No one hotter in the world, ParamountSports.com.
All right, Lee, good luck this weekend. Much more Zone coming up next on Sports Radio 810 WHB, breaking down the Chiefs' win over the Ravens.
Another text says, just tuned in, so not sure it's been talked about, but how about the Ravens trying to block Chris Jones with a running back? Lamar was turning all over the place and definitely worried about number 95. That was odd. Like, we saw a lot of commentary last night after the game from those, former offensive linemen and other, analysts talking about the fact that for some reason Chris Jones they were sliding the protection to the left away from Chris Jones, and it was leaving Justice Hill one-on-one. It ended up working? I guess it ended up working. Although, did it? Because they didn't score, but regardless, 913-912-4810. We'll talk with Matt Derrick here in just a little bit.
One of my favorite
from,
things
Chiefs Digest, and 41 is the mic.
From the game, though, was Chris Jones calling out who he wanted to go up against.
Oh, dude, he does that. He did that a lot last year. Like, he would just, and Nick Bolton would tell him, pick out, who you want. Pick out what you're looking for and the matchup you want. And it made sense. Like, they lined him up early on against the left guard and or right guard and right tackle, and it was child's play at times for Chris Jones against the offensive line. And then I think there was an element of maybe you start to wear down. The protection and everything is centered and geared towards you.
Sure.
He didn't have a bunch of snaps in training camp, but I think he'll be fine as the season goes along. Matt Derrick is with us, hanging out with us, presented by Cap One Lending. Freedom Loan at Cap One Lending, the exclusive loan that helps you pay your home off in less than half the time, gives you access to your home's equity without having to refinance. Go to caponelending.com. Matt Derrick with us. Matt, did you get to sleep eventually last night? Because I know I haven't listened to it yet. I apologize. I had to start working this morning, but I'll listen to it later on. I know that you guys have already posted the 41 is the Mic podcast breaking down the game, so not waiting to let it really sink in or anything. So did you get much sleep?
A little bit, a couple of hours. So yeah, I want to say I thought that we said that we finished up at 346. It could have been 348. I can't remember.
I'm going to need you to be more specific. I'm going to go with 347.
I remember saying 346 on the air just to let everybody know how the sausage is made.
You got to
and
do that.
everything.
Like you got to let them know the grind you're putting in, the extra time, what you're doing for the listeners.
Yeah, you got to let everybody know that.
See, if people woke up this morning like, God, I really want to know what Nick and Matt were thinking about the game. Oh wait, I can find out. You can go and listen to that. Not right now, but you can hear what Matt's got to say about the game right now.
And I mean, if you just want to let people know what kind of a person I am the Isaiah Pacheco, clearly, of this group. Just I would not recommend pushing me into the end zone.
You know what? I would help.
If
it was about getting into the end zone, I would help you.
That's a really good thing to say right now. Yeah.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
That was really good.
I would help you if you needed help.
I would push you.
Oh, I don't think you'd want to push me. No, it's definitely not get behind me. No.
Matt Derrick is our guest. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. General takeaway from the game last night. I mean, a win is a win. It's
a win.
It's weird because last year we kept saying a win is a win. They found a way to win. They found a way to win. This one's a little bit different, a little bit better than just, hey, you never apologize for a win. I thought this was a really good win. They certainly can improve, but man, there was a lot to take away from this game. There were some positives looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was to me it was a mixed bag. I mean, it's a good win. Absolutely. Could prove very pivotal. We won't know how good of a win it is until we figure out just what Baltimore is this year. I mean, everybody can be a little bit different every year. I mean, this was the best scoring defense in the league last year, and you put 27 points on them. Got to feel pretty good about that. This was an offense that struggled last year. 27 points, I think, would have been tied for the fourth best output of their 21 games that they played last year. So that's an improvement. I mean, especially doing it against Baltimore and the number one scoring defense. I think they had 281 net passing yards. That would have been, I think, the 7th or 8th best passing effort that the Chiefs had last year.
Wow.
So when you think about that and then calculate it for the opponent, how can you not feel pretty good about that? It should just be the beginning. And you look at that offense and how it looked and then think, and then you're going to add Hollywood Brown to the mix. Because what you saw from Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, I think last night's just the tip of the iceberg.
So I'm going to throw some numbers at you and see if you can guess what these numbers are. Sterling, Dylan, Matt, you can all throw a dart as to what these are. All right, I'll get to the end and you guys can guess. Here we go. 5.1, 6.2, 6.1, 6.1, 5.2, 5.6, 7.5, 4.8, 4.8, 4.5, 6.2, 5.5, 5.6, 5.3, 3.4. 7, 4.5, 5.5, 7.7, 4.1, 5.8, 7.1. Anybody have a guess as to what that is?
It sounds like the Chiefs' yards per play last year per game.
The last one was Baltimore yesterday. Would have been the third highest yards per play.
7.1? Yeah,
7.1.
Pretty good.
Was the
pretty good.
third highest last year.
Pretty good.
Chargers or Buffalo, 7.7 in Buffalo in the divisional round, and the Chargers in week 7.
You were very quick, by the way, on that, Matt Derrick.
Yeah.
Did you give him the
I
notes
did not,
or
no? 7.7 against Buffalo, 7.5 against the Chargers, 7.1 against Baltimore last night. Are the 3 highest yards per play.
There were too many numbers. I was thinking originally
sorry.
Rashee Rice,
Yeah.
A dot. I was thinking like 4 point. Yeah, about 5 yards downfield.
There wasn't a negative 0.1 in there, so I knew that.
I mean, Baltimore AFC Championship game was 4.4. So, I mean, like, the 49ers was 5.8, right? Miami, a little different, 5.5, but Vegas on Christmas Day was 3.4. Like, they literally doubled their yards per play than the worst game they played all of last year to the first game they have played this year in 7.1. And there were things left on the table. That's what's encouraging for me is it didn't feel like they were pulling teeth to get into the red zone. They didn't make the plays when they got there or enough of the plays when they got there, but they got there with much more relative ease than Baltimore did. Mm-hmm. It took Baltimore a lot more of plays and drives to get down inside the red zone where it felt like the Chiefs were just first down, second down, first down. Like I said, their first 2 touchdown drives, they faced 1 third down in all of those plays when they got 2 touchdowns.
I had it going through my head most of the first half that this game was basically the Chiefs never getting the third down, and it was the Ravens waiting to get the third down because that was their best down.
Right.
Yeah.
That first drive, it was all about third and longs. I mean, the Chiefs and Spags did what they had to do, and then Lamar made some plays. Somebody forgot about Justice Hill.
Should have made those plays in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, should have. Right. I mean, but the Chiefs were picking up chunk plays more consistently than the Ravens were. And I thought Spags had a pretty good game plan, and I still have questions about Zach Orr and his game plan in the game last night.
I'll send you a really good video. Chuck Pagano was on McAfee yesterday, and he broke down the way that Spags likes to simulate 5-man pressures, and he rotates all the players. Where he was showing film from last year, Pennell was in coverage on the touchdown to Likely that Bolton, and it almost looked exactly similar to the Likely play where Bolton just got kind of the Kelsey thing where you just stop for 1 second and the guy makes one move and it's the right time and Lamar hits him. Same thing with Flowers last year. My bad.
Yeah, no, Zay Flowers last year.
Everybody, and this reminds me, everybody's been going with the toe puns and everything like this. And
One in toe.
I mean,
Ball toe, no mo.
if I had one more headline to write, it would absolutely be, Chiefs with unlikely win.
Oh, I like that
See,
one.
Nice.
I would have gone that direction.
I like that
No
one.
Rex Ryan puns or anything?
Yes.
A game that would make Rex Ryan blush.
There you go.
Right? That's a terrible headline.
But is he like big toes or little toes? We don't know that about Rex.
I don't think he.
That's a real question.
I don't think he has.
I can
really
get you a toe, dude.
Right, I know.
I can get you a toe with paint.
Yeah, it was nail polish. I can get it right now. I mean, if you need that.
Some of us are
I don't-
fragile here, Sterling. So
I don't think he discriminates on toe sizes, Rex Ryan. I'm not sure, or feet just in general. Matt Derrick is our guest. We started off talking about the offense, but I know because it's a new toy, most of the takeaway last night was about Xavier Worthy and what he was able to do. But my takeaway was, Rashee Rice is that dude. And another year in the system, and we know that he's got the yards after catch. We know he's a bigger-bodied guy. We know he's got much more sure hands now than he did at the beginning of the season. And now he's got the trust of Patrick Mahomes to where Mahomes is looking for him over Kelsey. I mean, you were in the press conference when Mahomes talked about the interception that he said, I should have just thrown it to Kelsey. But I was waiting to get it to Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have ever heard that in my life.
And that was just, a continuation and an extension of everything that we saw in training camp with Rice. I mean, him in the slot and on those in-breaking routes is just unstoppable. I don't know, how you do stop him, but it's clearly not putting a linebacker or a smaller defensive back on him.
It made no sense.
You're going to have to probably put a 6'2" corner on him. It's something. Because you've got to get a body on him. You've got to get some length on him. But his separation is so much better than it was a year ago. He's so much more comfortable in the offense. But I don't know how you stop that because he's got the size to be able to go get any ball over the middle. And then once he's got the ball in his hands, he's dangerous. He was a former running back, and he runs like a running back. I thought he was close to breaking a couple of those for a touchdown last night, and I thought there was one for sure that he was going to be able to do. But
yeah, he needs just a little more speed on that.
Yeah, just a little bit more, and he would have had it. But that's
why he was drafted in the second round and not the first.
Oh, that's what that's what I said last year when it was it against the Broncos that he had that big play down the sideline.
Oh,
he
yeah, it
got
was
caught
like
from
67
behind.
yards or it was, yeah.
And I was like,
Get those
man,
knees up.
I was like, man, it'd be great if he would have taken that to the end zone. I said, but if he scores on that, he's not scoring for the Chiefs because he wouldn't have been in there in the second round if he was faster, which is perfectly fine because they went and got Xavier, and they've got Hollywood Brown when he comes back, and that to me is part of the excitement. Is you see how good the offense was, but you know that with health, it's only going to get better. Because you would hope Kingsley will get a little bit better. He got baptized last night a number of times. And Hollywood Brown can do a number of different things for this offense that can open up even more for Xavier or Kelsey or Rashee Rice.
Yeah, that's the thing is that. And, hey, there was a reason why, Kelsey had what was a below-average game for him because Ravens were determined not to let Travis Kelsey beat them.
Yeah.
And they succeeded. Travis Kelsey did not beat them. Other guys did beat them, though, and that's going to be their problem going forward, and that's going to be the problem in the NFL because, pick your poison. If you're not double teaming Travis Kelce, you know that he's going to be able to do something. But the Chiefs now have some other guys that need double attention too, and that's why, to me, this has the potential to be more like the 2018, 2020 era of the Chiefs offense, because you've got multiple threats. You've got, not just a speed guy, but, if Hollywood Brown is the Sammy Watkins of this offense, that's an upgrade.
Yeah,
no doubt. Sammy was great in this offense and took advantage of it, but that's an upgrade. What does that even make? Does that make Rashee Rice the Demarcus Robinson of this offense? That's another upgrade. No offense to D-Rob, but my goodness,
I think that's more offense to Rashee Rice.
This is starting to feel like Legion of Zoom 2.
Well, this is the best wide receiver group when Hollywood's back that Mahomes has ever had, right?
I
best
think
group
so.
of weapons.
I think so. On paper, I understand why people would be concerning, because you've got a lot of new faces, not as much chemistry. How's it all going to work together?
Mm-hmm.
There's been some injury guys here, but I think that I think people are definitely sleeping on just how good Rashee Rice is and how good he can. As good as he was last year, he should make a big leap this year. I wasn't convinced about how big of a leap, because I thought there was even a chance going into last night that there was a chance that Rashee Rice could be significantly better than he was last year, but not put up as many numbers, because there are only so many balls to go around. And there's a lot of other people around him that can make plays now. But no, I think he's too good. He's going to make plays, and
I don't know what the rest of the season is going to look like the next 16 games or so, but after one game, I'm a little more optimistic about my $2 bet at 50-1 for Rashee Rice to lead the league in receiving yards. It's 50-1, $2 bet, win $100. Whatever.
We're looking good right now.
We'll see what happens. Yeah,
Call it.
No, but
call
the season.
Cash it in now.
Yes. What can I can I cash it in for $2.10? Boom, 10 cents just made that. Obviously, Hollywood's going to come back. There's other guys that'll have big games. It's not going to be Rashee Rice for 100 yards a game. He's not going to have 1,700 yards receiving. But he might have a game where he has 140. He might have a game like he is somebody that Mahomes trusts now and looks for him.
I want to go to Kingsley really quickly, because we've kind of mentioned him and is a mixed bag, if you will. So sometimes he got baptized, and I think the biggest difference was the Ravens had 3 guys who were getting baptized, while the Chiefs kind of had 1 guy who was getting his welcome to the NFL. Both, obviously, teams have good defensive lines. PFF came out with their grades already.
Is it out?
It's out now. At least I looked it up individually, and I'm able to find this. So he was graded a 48.9 overall.
That's what it felt like.
Pass blocking was a 61.4.
I didn't think it felt like that. But
I didn't either. That
I think at times it did. I think when they singled out Kingsley, or when I just watched Kingsley at times, I'm like, okay, was that the pass blocking or overall?
His pass blocking was 61.4. His run blocking was 37.3. It was 54 offensive snaps played overall. That was how many snaps the Chiefs had. Not a whole bunch, because they were very effective for the most part. 33 pass block snaps, 21 run block snaps. He was only credited with the 1 penalty, because I think 1 was declined. Didn't he have 2 and 1 was declined?
One either declined or offsetting, yeah.
He definitely had the holding.
And then he had 1 pressure allowed, is what PFF had him down
And
for.
that was a sack.
Well, here it might tell a little bit as well. PFF's highest-graded players from last night, Adafe Owe was 3rd highest as an edge rusher, so that might
He was good.
also... I mean, he was good.
Yeah, he was good last night, but how much is it? Matt, were you... let's talk about Kingsley a little bit then. So you didn't think it sort of looked like that at times. I was a little surprised that there wasn't as much help or putting a tight end over there, keeping a running back in to help Chip, as much as we saw them sort of game plan around Wanya Morris last year. I didn't think there was as much. Was I missing that and not paying attention? Did you get the same feel or the same read? I haven't watched it again, so I'll watch it closer when I watch the game again. But it didn't feel like there was as much of the, we're going to help out Kingsley over here. We'll leave the other 4 guys to do what they do.
Yeah, I didn't think there was an overly concerted effort to protect him or anything. And that leads me to an interesting part of the conversation, which I don't want to get too far astray. But, the Chiefs didn't really try to protect either Xavier or Kingsley last night, but they certainly protected the other rookies. And that kind of surprised me. Interesting. They let those 2 go at it and just sink or swim. And
So what do you think-
obviously
so what do you-
Xavier was a lot more swim than.
Well, let me ask you, why do you think that is? That Wiley played, like, I think the number of snaps that his jersey is, and I think Jaden Hicks played the same number of snaps on defense that I did.
I have it. If you want the rookies, I have them pulled up right now.
Yeah, Hicks didn't play on defense once.
Hicks played 0% on defense, 0 snaps, 21 on special teams.
Yeah.
Um,
What did Wiley play snaps?
12, I believe.
Yeah, I thought he played his jersey number in snaps. I thought that stood out to me.
Jared Wiley played 11 is what I have.
What?
I have him down for 11.
I
sorry.
counted 12. No, I'm just joking.
I have him down for 11.
Yeah, Wiley 11. Carson Steele played 5, but that's understandable when they got Samaje Perine. The Jaden Hicks one was probably the more surprising one, that he played 21
Really surprising to me.
special teams and
Really
no
surprising.
snaps on defense. So why do you think that is, that Kingsley, Worthy, go out there and play? Kingsley, you're playing every single snap, and Xavier Worthy, you get the second most wide receiver snaps behind Rashee Rice.
I mean, I think it's a couple of things. One, obviously, I mean, you're not going to rotate out your left tackle. So Kingsley's going to go
So we'll set
sink
him.
or swim.
We'll set him.
He's going to be sink or swim.
Although Baltimore was rotating their right tackle from time to time, but still, but yes, I'm with you on that one. So we'll set Kingsley aside in terms of playing time rookies.
Yeah. So you're going to have him out there, and to your point, I was a bit surprised that they didn't give him a little bit more support, or at least shade protection in his direction and everything, so that Tooney could help him out a little bit more. I think they were hoping that game plan wise, I think they could just kind of scheme around him more than give him extra help. But not sure that worked exactly either. But once again, they scored 27 points. So where's the real outcry here? But Xavier, here's the thing about him is just that he's ready. This isn't a guy that slowly built up or anything in college. He's got 3 full seasons of high-level, high-end production in college, and ran a lot of routes and caught a lot of passes. So for a good program, and so he's accomplished. He's an accomplished route runner. I mean, he doesn't need to learn any of these things. And his speed is obviously the X factor. I mean, that's the whole other category. Yeah. So my question for him going into this game was, especially in week 1 when nobody's played 100% yet. I mean, you're even preseason games are not 100%. It's a different level of speed. You get into a game like this, and are the defense's eyes trained for the speed of a guy like Xavier Worthy, especially a guy they haven't seen before? And I think especially the reverse showed, no, the eyes are not trained for that yet, and they were not prepared for it.
I mean, I don't know how often we see a guy through traffic hit almost 19 miles an hour. Because that's what he got. He got 18.5 was his mile an hour on that run.
He was gliding because
Right.
he seemed
and
fast.
not as fast as it was
But it's
clearly
also-
not as fast as he can run.
Right, but it's also through traffic. Like, you got to worry about your feet, where the blockers are going, and he still got to 18.5 miles an hour when he cut it up. If Humphrey would have stayed with him on the sideline, I wonder what miles an hour he could have got to if Mahomes had to lay it out for him out there. But that's one of those where Kingsley, go do your thing. And I think that standpoint is, we know it's going to be a little bit, but we also know you have it in you, and you just need reps to improve. And if we constantly are helping you, then maybe we delay the process of you getting to the level that we think you can get to. And Xavier, we're going to put you out there and I'm glad we said it before the draft, because it would seem like it's a secondary after the fact conversation. But we said it before the draft that Xavier Worthy almost gets downgraded as a wide receiver because of how fast he ran. Because we were talking about like fits for the Chiefs and Xavier Worthy. It's like, well, he's just a fast guy. And we're like, dude, if he ran a 4.3, people would be paying more attention to his route running, his ball tracking skills, his ability as a wide receiver, the numbers he put up at Texas, as opposed to, let's look at all the other guys that ran 4.2 and sub 4.3s. It almost hurt him. And then the Chiefs drafted him, and it was like, okay, well, I'm glad we said that before, because it doesn't look like we're just trying to change the narrative when the Chiefs got him. And I think that's going to be a surprise to a lot of people, is that he's going to be used as an actual wide receiver that's fast instead of a fast guy that they want to put at wide receiver.
Yeah. That to me is going to be what happens next, because he's not going to surprise anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, every NFL team everybody in the NFL was watching last night.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to be surprised. Everybody's putting their notebooks. Okay, Xavier Worthy really fast.
Really
okay,
fast.
got that.
We knew it was fast, and now we see it in pads. Okay, fast.
And now, and now they're going to be like, okay, do we have a little bit faster guy that we can use on scout team for him? Because the guy we were planning on using is not fast enough. So we need the fastest guy possible to play Xavier Worthy. So let's do that. So he's not going to sneak up on anybody the rest of the year. I still think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be able to get them things done. To the broader question we were circling back to was like, why Jaden Hicks doesn't play on defense. I have no real good answer for that other than, if they were just concerned about, one, I mean, he would still be the fourth safety. I mean, so you have other guys in front of him, but I mean, it made a whole lot more sense to me. Honestly, I mean, there were some places it honestly would have made a lot more sense to me have 4 safeties on the field than some of the looks that they had. Because
I felt like the last drive, just no reason to have Bolton out there, put another safety in that spot.
Well, I mean, that was the thing. I mean, it was pretty clear that their linebackers weren't fast enough to spy.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, and I thought we all knew that. I mean, I thought we all knew that for the most part, you can't spy Lamar Jackson with a linebacker.
Yeah.
And that's why you thought maybe they draft Jaden Hicks because he is a big safety.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a role that he absolutely thrives in. So unless it was just simply that they didn't want, they think he's got the talent to do it, think he is still a work in progress, and didn't want Lamar exposing him or, beating him and, sending him backwards mentally and everything like that. I don't think it would have happened necessarily, but I could see that being the rationale for, let's not put him in a position to fail. Let's make sure that when the Chiefs get him out there, make sure it's in a position that he can get some wins, feel good about himself, and build on it, and not have it be like, oh, Lamar Jackson beat me. Well, Lamar Jackson beats a lot of guys.
You know what? I'll do this on the other side because I think there's some other coverage snap counts that we can get into because there were 80, and I have a few. I have a few takeaways here.
So 80 plays. Play number 1. What do we think? We're visiting with Matt Derrick, Cap One Lending. We will take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get into that. What Sterling's talking about, some of those covered snaps, what he saw, what his assessment and takeaway was, and then the Ravens were cramping after the game was over. I think the kids call it the loser's cramp. wondering what you were going to talk about that they said they were waiting with bated breath. So let's go.
Wow, shocking. Thank you, everyone.
I just made that up,
I
but
don't believe Jason, but
fine. No worries.
One, I thought for the most part, actually, the cornerbacks did a better job than I expected. For all the offseason hype of there's no CB2, it seemed like Spags was nervous. They went out and I think for the most part did their job.
A play by Jalen Watson went a long way to calming a little nerves and concerns. But go ahead.
He did have a holding penalty or a pass interference early on Zay Flowers that, again, I think that was offsetting with one of the...
Somebody had to make up for L'Jarius Sneed's holding penalties in the game, so it's all good.
For 80 snaps week 1, 80 defensive snaps in the heat, McDuffie played all 80, not a huge surprise, but Watson played 77. Williams played 32, and 0 from Nazi and 0 from Christian Roland Wallace. Now, again, we talked about Jaden Hicks not playing any, but I think to me the bigger surprise was the lack of rotation. It really was McDuffie and Watson out there every single snap. I don't know about you guys, but that to me was a surprise.
It wasn't a significant surprise to me. I mean, I kind of felt like that might be the direction they were going because I think they're still wanting to give Nazi some time to recover and everything and really get back to 100%. So what kind of surprised me, though, was that they did not go to the dime look that we saw there near the end of the game and late in the second half that I thought they might go to a lot earlier. I mean, as far as just especially trying to contain, what the Ravens were doing. Because, you get a little bit more speed out there, a little bit more, coverage. And I think part of it was because they were still trying to figure out how to get some pressure on the quarterback.
Yes, no doubt.
We probably at some point just talk about the messiness that was the pass rush last night and the line play. But no, I mean, the secondary played really, really well. But, the Chiefs had been working on a lot of, dime stuff with 3 corners, 3 safeties, where McDuffie goes back into the slot, and then you've got Williams and Watson on the outside, and you still have Shamari Connor out there on the field, and kind of, playing some 3 shells, and that worked out pretty. Well. I mean, it was more of a, I don't want to call it a prevent defense. I mean, it was definitely designed to just make sure that the Ravens couldn't. That if they're going to go down on that last drive and win, that they had to go down as slowly and plodding as possible. That they had to do it in small chunks. They couldn't just make it a big play. Almost made
of course
a couple.
They did.
Of course, they made a big play.
Big play with Bateman.
But part of that, that even stems back to the pass rush not being terribly effective because there were moments that the secondary did its job, but there was no getting to Lamar Jackson, and he buys time. And after you can only cover for so long, you can't cover for 6 seconds.
It's like the defensive line is in sync. It's Chris Jones is Timberlake, and then it's like other guys that are just sort of interchangeable at
Who's
times.
Lance Bass?
I'm not sure who is. Like I don't know who's the second most famous in sync guy. That would be Karlaftis. But it certainly feels like Chris and company is the pass rush, and it's really Chris and then what feels like background singers are the company.
They played a lot more like 98 Degrees last night because I don't know who any of those guys are.
So Chris Jones is Nick Lachey. Because I have no idea.
Oh, he in 98 Degrees?
Yeah,
okay,
that's right. Yes,
that's great.
Yeah.
Yes,
he definitely. Oh, yeah. Then that was right. I mean, if Chris Jones is usually Justin Timberlake, he had some Nick Lachey moments last night. I mean,
but it was like,
he was destroying people in the first half.
He
though.
absolutely was, but there didn't seem to be help from anybody else. And that's where I think Spags was trying to find different ways to pressure him. And, again, credit to the secondary, too. Again, I said this in the first hour, Matt, that on second view later on today or tomorrow or Sunday, whenever I watch the game again, I'll pay a little bit more attention in the All-22 to the secondary. But on first glance, it certainly felt like the secondary was doing a good enough job because most of Lamar Jackson's running damage came on scrambles.
Right.
Came on. So there's a little bit of pressure that's there. So, okay, so you got to credit the pressure to getting there. But also he didn't just sit back, sit in the pocket, and find a receiver. The secondary seemed like it held up pretty well. His damage did not come on, mesh point Derrick Henry, I'm going to keep it and go off tackle. Mesh point, I'm going to keep it and go around the outside. Shotgun snap, I'm just going to do just a run on a designed run for Lamar Jackson. I don't know how many there were of those, but there weren't many. His damage was on scrambles.
I mean, I counted up the scrambles because he had 16 carries, I believe, 10 scrambles, so really only 6 designed runs.
6 designed runs,
and the 6 designed runs were not terribly productive.
No, they weren't.
It was the scrambles where he got his yardage.
Yeah, you're right. They weren't very productive.
And that brings us back to, I mean, even though, Leo Chenal was spying most of the time.
Yeah. He's a good straight line guy, but to spy Lamar, it feels like you need lateral.
I just didn't. A lot of times I didn't notice there was anybody spying him because Lamar. And
the only time that Chanel's athleticism showed up is when Lamar was running to his right and Chanel was stalking him, and he got outside the pocket, and it looked like Lamar was then, all right, now I'm going to speed up and go around him, and Chanel was there, and then that's when Lamar sort of threw it away with his arm getting hit.
Yeah, it was,
and
it was a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hook shot.
Exactly, because I think Lamar underestimated Chanel's speed to catch up because Lamar's like linebacker. Okay, now I'm going to turn it on and go, oh, wait, I can't get there. Now I just got to throw it away. But that was straight line Chanel speed. It wasn't Chanel having to stop, go back and forth. Chanel straight line is a hell of an athlete. I just don't know when you have somebody spying Lamar if that's the guy to sort of go back and forth and use that athleticism. I think he's lacking in that part of it.
But when they got to the end there, and let's call it a 4-1-6 because it was basically 3 defensive linemen and Leo going after the quarterback.
Yeah.
I still really want to see more of that. I want to see more of Leo Chenal.
I agree.
Lined up wide 9.
But he wasn't even going after the quarterback, though. He just went into the defensive line and then stood there because he was waiting for Lamar. 3 guys rushing, Chanel sort of in the middle of the field, which, by the way, helped him because he knocked down the pass earlier in the game, which would have been a touchdown.
Yep.
It ended up being a field goal.
And that comes back to a little bit of the sloppiness because it was inconsistent.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he was where he was supposed to be, and sometimes he broke down, and that was the same way on the edges too, because that's been Steve Spagnuolo's real scheme for beating Lamar Jackson has been keep him in the pocket, force him to beat you with his arm.
Yeah.
And
They didn't
last
do that.
night, everything was sloppy. The edge was sloppy.
Rush lanes,
pursuit
they got out of them.
they got out of their rush lanes. Sometimes they over pursued, just missed him, and then there was no help behind.
The only time they didn't get out of the rush lanes was the first down play down at the 10-yard line after the Bateman throw when he overthrew Likely in the corner because they were gassed.
Yeah.
So they just stood there in the rush lanes. Like,
they were
they weren't
standing.
moving. They were just standing there in their rush lanes like, look, Lamar, if you're going to run, I'm here. We're going to make you pass it. And he had an open receiver for a touchdown. It's just
I wanted
Lamar
Andy to
missed
call
it.
a timeout. I was like, I know that gives Baltimore a timeout, but like the
wouldn't have been
defense is gassed.
It was going to be a timeout battle for that 2-point conversion if there was one. 'Cause
Well,
Andy was going to wait to see, and then Harbaugh was going to
Harbaugh didn't have any time.
Harbaugh had
Oh,
none
you're
left.
right,
Yeah.
you're
So
right.
it would
he
have
didn't
been,
have any.
So Andy would have been able to do that.
There were 2 things that I thought really notable there. One was that, yes, when Likely went down and there was that break for his injury timeout, Chiefs needed that bad.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Needed that bad. So that was great timing for them. And then 2, had that been a touchdown, had that been upheld, the Chiefs were not stopping the 2-point conversion.
I'm with you.
The defense had nothing left in the tank.
I saw somebody tweet out last night, and I love Mike DeCourcy. I agree with him on a lot of different things. But somebody tweeted out and said, Isaiah Likely's toes just saved Ravens fans from having to watch their team lose by 1 again because Harbaugh went for 2. And Mike DeCourcy quote tweeted it and pointed it down. Arrow or finger pointing down like, hey, this. And I'm like, I'm glad the toe was out of bounds because I was already writing down what the show was going to be today as to how they lost 28-27 because
You know, called 28-27 too.
he said 28-27
I
Ravens.
I was like, oh my, because it's an emotional hedge is what I was doing I was like emotional hedge.
To his defense, he said, I have them losing one of the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll pick one and go Ravens with emotional hedge
With
tonight.
28-27, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, did I just do this?
Yeah,
what
you
have I
almost did it. You
what have
almost
I
did it.
done?
but it wasn't. It was going to be Lamar in some way, shape, or form. They weren't. I know Justin Reed. We've got the whole.
They were
Justin,
done with Derrick Henry
Yeah.
at that point.
We got
Yeah.
the whole Justin
And
Reed and
throwing
Justin.
the football. It was just going to be Lamar.
It's
whatever you want.
Some end around
Yeah.
where he just
Steven
sneaks
asked
in.
him last night. It was like, you guys prepared for the 2-point conversion? And Reed was like, oh, yeah. We were ready to go. It was going to be 22 up the middle. And he said, or Lamar with him. Like, it ain't going to be 22 up the middle. They're going to fake it to 22 up the middle, But Lamar's going to get out on the edge. They're probably going to have Likely or Andrews available or Lamar to make a play. It ain't going to be, let's just hand it off 3 yards up the middle for Derrick Henry with an offensive line
It'll
that
be
is
the fourth
completely
and two,
inferior.
The Chiefs' 4th and 2 play where Tyreek Hill does that thing where they did it with McCole Hardman, where they did it with
you can't just run up the middle with
Tony.
Derrick Henry with an inferior offensive line.
No, you get him out in space.
But Lamar out in space.
That's what I'm saying. Lamar out in space, yeah.
I mean, never underestimate your opponent because, I mean, Baltimore completely and totally Brandon Staley'd that 4th down by just with a terrible play call in that situation.
Well, I mean, again.
And a great play by Trent McDuffie.
No, it was an okay play by Trent McDuffie, but what I said this earlier, people missed the ref come in and bump Nelson Aguilar off of his spot to be able to block Trent McDuffie. So that was the officials doing that. The refs helped them win. So if Nelson Aguilar is not pushed by the referee, he blocks McDuffie, and it's like a 20-yard gain. But the officials clearly have it out for Chiefs opponents.
Sarcasm.
Well done. There's a lot of positives to take away from last night. One of the things that would have been a discussion, and I think a heavy complaint today, I love the guy. I think he's been good for the Chiefs. He needs to burn the tape from last night, and that would be Nick Bolton. I think today would have been a heavy discussion about Nick Bolton and his usage and his athleticism if they would have lost the game. You were talking about McDuffie playing every snap. Nick Bolton played every single snap.
Yeah.
Justin Reed, Nick Bolton, Brian Cook, and Trent McDuffie played every single snap. I was texting with my brother and nephew, final drive, like, why is Tranquil on the sideline? Why is Tranquil watching the final drive?
Tranquil didn't have a good game either, though, by the way.
I'm not saying
Leo was the best linebacker out there by far.
I'm not saying he did have a great game, but if Chanel's in there to stalk and just shadow Lamar, Bolton is less athletic than Tranquil. You're not worrying about the run. Yeah. The run doesn't matter at that point. So why isn't Tranquil in? Tranquil was in on that final play of the game in which he handed Likely off to Bolton, and then Bolton let Likely go for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I
know why. I know why.
But playing every single snap, like in that situation, like Willie Gay and Drew Tranquil out there on the field a year ago, and not Nick Bolton.
Well, I'm saying I know why he struggled.
I see.
It's not even because of the rust.
I thought you were saying why Spags had him out there. My
No,
bad.
it's not because of the brace. It's not because he's rusty. It's because he doesn't say Mizzou as an intro. He says his school in high school.
My son was not happy about that.
Gosh,
my
Nick,
son was not happy about
we don't
that.
have a lot of Mizzou guys out there.
My son was not.
We don't have a lot of that. Stop doing that.
He was not enthused about the
Stop
his
doing
high
that.
school.
You've been knowing.
Why is he attacking his base?
Yeah. Because they were going through the colleges, and my son was like, is Nick Bolton starting, right? I said, yep. He goes, okay. We'll get Nick Bolton, whatever high school. He goes, why did he say his high school? I don't know, son. you gotta ask him. What do you think of what we saw last night? Is this he didn't play much in training camp, so maybe the fitness, as they say in soccer, isn't there, and he'll be better? Or is this year 4 for a guy who has suffered some injuries throughout his career and was already coming into the NFL with questions about athleticism, that this is what happens with a guy who's got 100 tackles a year, and now it's year 4?
I think it's a lot more the former than the latter,
Okay.
because he didn't play a single snap in any of the 3 preseason games.
Mm-hmm.
You saw Jalen Watson; they gave him a lot of snaps in that 3rd preseason game just to get the rust knocked off of him. And he had a longer stay because he hadn't been playing during OTAs and really limited a lot of camp. So, but you saw how rusty he was in the preseason game, and just that playing time helped him immensely because he was a lot better last night.
But Justin Reed was fine. You know what I mean? And he had a quad. Like Nick Bolton was missing with an elbow, so he could have still done the fitness and the running and stuff. Justin Reed had a quad, and he looked good.
I'm more with Matt. I think it's a lot of needing to knock the rust
Mizzou
off.
guys just refuse to question anything Mizzou.
I said he was brutal in this. Like he was an issue,
I'm
but
obviously joking.
I think it's let's see the body of work. Let's see what happens in the next few weeks. If you see more performances like this, have a concern. But
last one on this. I know that Tranquil didn't have a great game, but were you surprised that it was Nick Bolton at the linebacker that entire final drive when you knew they were throwing, and not Drew Tranquil in there playing that spot?
No, because
I was floored.
Nick Bolton's the quarterback of the defense.
That's fine. They needed a running back of the defense then.
He's going to be. he's going to be the guy. I mean,
Yeah.
do they want him out there at all times if possible? Because I mean, yeah, Drew here, and here's the other part of it too. I mean, I don't think that they really want to have to move those guys around to have Tranquil having to worry about one thing, and then all of a sudden, now he's the Mike linebacker and have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So I think they want the guys just to do what they're good at. I think they wanted maybe Nick Bolton to play through it a little bit. They didn't want a miscommunication late in the game because they've replaced their Mike linebacker.
And then they had one when Tranquil handed it off to Bolton, and Bolton did not take likely. So that was unfortunate.
Well, fortunately, Lamar had a little miscommunication when he didn't know where Zay Flowers was going to be in the end zone.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, he was throwing it to Rashad Bateman, he said.
There you go.
Which is even more indefensible because Rashad Bateman was going the other way into coverage.
What?
The hell are you throwing it to? Well, I thought he was going to sit down. Between two guys, he ran to Nick Bolton, and behind him was the safety. The only guy coming open was Zay. Whatever. I like Lamar, but indefensible.
Not exactly a PR, clinic as far as the Ravens post-game audio was going.
And neither receiver thought the ball was intended for them. So.
Exactly. Yes, Lamar turns out flat earther. Despite all evidence to the contrary, believes something different. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap things up this hour with Matt Derrick. Kendall Gammon joins us in the noon hour. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Let's hear Isaiah Likely real quick as we talked with Matt Derrick. He was cramping after the game was over, and maybe that was the toe that stuck out a little bit further. But here is Isaiah Likely after the game, who got confused about what happens in the postseason.
What do you take away from a competitive game like that against this team?
I say this is probably the worst game we're going to play all year. So if this is their best that they got, I mean, good luck in the postseason.
Yeah. Typically, the team that just lost last year in the postseason, and a guy who's played on a team that has one postseason win in his career, good luck to the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champions that are 15-3 in the postseason with Patrick Mahomes. Also, is that the worst the Ravens are going to play all year? And does he really think that was the best shot the Chiefs gave him? Because it's back-to-back times the Chiefs have ended up winning the game when the Ravens are going, well, we just didn't make the plays. Well, if we would have just done this or done that, it's really our fault. We're the ones that lost it. They didn't win it. I mean,
did anyone see the tweet of like all the Buzz Lightyears on the shelf, and it had that quote of, "Oh, just for a few plays, we would have beat the Chiefs," and it's just like a line of the same Buzz Lightyears.
So great, so great. But good luck in the postseason.
Yeah, I can't imagine any of these quotes that were whipped out last night will come back to haunt the Ravens whatsoever if these two teams meet again.
Yeah, like I said, whether it was off the air earlier in the show, that yeah, good luck in the postseason when we see you again. Okay, well, likely you may see the Chiefs, but you're going to be wearing those white jerseys again.
I mean, the Chiefs have notoriously short memories, so I'm sure that
yeah.
They won't recall any of this by January.
I'm just wondering what Roquan Smith is going to do when he sees Peyton Hendershot. I mean,
it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, clearly. Maybe he'll be chasing after Rashee Rice like he was last night. Matt, thank you for the time. Love you, brother.
Take care, guys.
Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. Recognized as the #1 place to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit crownautomotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Shout out Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mike podcast. Go get some sleep, Matt, please. I demand it of you. I order you to go sleep. Finished up their podcast last night at 3:45.
It's a grinder.
And then in here, he lives up north, lives in Liberty. And then in here at 11 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah.
And he got here early.
Yeah, and he got here early just to hang out
it
for
was
some reason.
10:43.
Sure. Yeah. Kendall, what time did you go to bed last night?
You know what? Before then. Yes. I would go with before then.
Well delivered.
You know what?
Nice job.
That's good to be the king.
That was 3.5 rotations delivery.
Yes, it was.
Was it on the 5th or the 6th when you went to bed?
It was before then. It was the 5th.
Yeah, I think I went to bed on the 6th.
I plead the 5th.
I think
Often.
I think I did fall asleep on the 6th, but I think I was trying to get to sleep on the 5th. So
it was tough though. That was a crazy game, wonderful game.
It's those late games are difficult for me. I can't fall asleep right after the game. It'll never be able to happen because I'm either excited.
You eventually fall asleep after the game. It's just how soon.
Nope, never happened. Not the first time I've ever watched a Chiefs game.
Oh, man.
First time I've ever seen a Chiefs game. I haven't fallen asleep since then. But I should say immediately or the first hour or so. Because either
wound up.
Yeah, you're excited about what happened, or you're mad, and I'm figuring out what's going on. Listen to the post game. Jack Johnson did a fantastic job last night. His maiden voyage in a regular season, doing the post game. So it is difficult. I tried to get to sleep before the day turned to the 6th, but I was on Twitter. Like, how are you supposed to fall asleep when you're talking to people about officiating on Twitter?
Exactly.
Sleep will wait. I've got arguing to do.
That's what we do. Absolutely, because we're the villain, and we shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get you started.
No, I told Kendall in the break that I am, and I recognize this in myself. It doesn't mean that I have done a good job of addressing it, but I recognize this in that I'm unnecessarily annoyed at the constant blaming of the refs after the Chiefs win. I shouldn't be annoyed. It's just like the Chiefs are winning and people are finding excuses as to why they're doing it instead of just explaining away that they're awesome. But that's why I say I'm unnecessarily annoyed. I shouldn't be. I should just water off a duck's back like Kendall.
And what did I say? The attitude you should take is don't care.
Kendall was like, "Oh, that's weird because I don't care."
Yeah,
absolutely, don't care.
I don't really care. Like,
care.
It's annoying.
I didn't say
it's
I
annoying,
said
but
it's unnecessary for me to feel that way.
Because all other fans know the Chiefs would be 0-17 if it weren't for the refs. The Chiefs would not win a single game if it was not for the refs. It couldn't be the fact that they're good or just better or more talented or had the best quarterback and head coach. No. They'd be 0-17 if it wasn't for the refs.
They find ways to make plays,
yes,
too.
They do.
I mean, that's just,
the refs do. Yeah, you're right.
It's just one of those things. And, they didn't make every play.
No.
You know what I mean? They left points on the board, did the Chiefs.
They really did.
Yeah, I mean, they had opportunities. They had the Pacheco pass down the sideline that went through his hands.
Mm-hmm.
The Juju Smith-Schuster, which would have been a tougher play, but he still jumped and had it in his hands and then came down and the ball bounced. Kelsey stopping while trying to catch the ball at the same time.
Right.
If he catches it and keeps going, he may get hit pretty hard, but it's also going to be a first down. So maybe long term, it's okay that he dropped it because they won the game and he didn't take a big hit. And then the throw to Xavier Worthy in the end zone that Mahomes just threw up for grabs, it was just brutal on the right side. It was a stunt that Juwan Taylor and Trey Smith both missed.
Yep.
And the defensive end and defensive tackle came free. And Mahomes at that point was like, I'll give him a shot.
Right.
I'll give the guy a shot. And well done by Xavier Worthy playing defensive back, too. Knocking that away.
Absolutely. I mean, as a QB, you definitely want to either you catch it, or your player catches it, or they don't catch it. And that, that's the confidence thing for the QB as well.
Yeah. But, I mean, you walk away from that game, Kendall. Are you, as a player, are you happy with the fact you put 27 points on the board, over 7 yards per play in the game?
Mm-hmm.
You got Rashee Rice showing out. You got Xavier Worthy. You unwrapped your toy a little bit and played with your toy the day after Christmas, and this is fun? Or are you thinking about, didn't capitalize in the red zone, missed this guy, an easy outlet pass on third down. I just missed Samaje Perine, or Perine going, why didn't I get my head around earlier?
Right.
What are you thinking about as a player the day after?
I think you're happy that you came away with 27 points, you got the win, and then you go back and you look at the mistakes and try to figure out. This is what was always preached to me. I remember it the most from Coach Cowher, just in terms of you go over and you look at everything and you take away the good, but you understand that you weren't perfect, and obviously, I mean, things that you can overlook in a win are heightened in a loss, so you don't want to overlook them, and he always talked about that, and Ditka talked about a lot of things too. I just don't remember what they were when I played for him, but Vermeil was the same way. Again, because, the fine line so much. I mean, we always say 4 to 6 plays a game. Really, last night, it was one play. I mean, a toenail. And
could have been any of the final 3 plays.
Yeah, it really could have been. You're right.
He missed all 3 of them.
And listening to you guys earlier on your segment, I mean, absolutely, I think you don't stop Lamar Jackson for getting in on a 2-point conversion if that's what they do. So, again, it's you're not satisfied. You're happy, and you understand that the target's only going to get bigger on your back.
Yeah, and you found a way to win this one game. You get ready for next week. You got a couple of extra days rest, which is nice. Guys can go and
that's huge.
Take some time off. Nick Bolton was asked about, hey, you going to head to Columbia to watch Mizzou and Buffalo? He's like, no, I'm heading to Texas. So he's got a couple days off. He's heading back to Texas, visit family, and be down there so the Chiefs can rest their bodies, get ready, watch the Bengals play this weekend.
Probably watch his high school team over watching Mizzou, typical.
Well, his high school team might be playing a better team than Mizzou's playing. I don't know.
They're
Texas
playing
football.
the Buffalo Bills. What do you mean?
It's a good point. Well, I don't know. It's Texas football. So
that's true.
There's some pretty
Texas football is crazy.
There's some pretty damn good teams down there.
I get down there to see North Shore quite a bit, and that is just a juggernaut.
Yeah, Mark Bolrichter. Working with Huddle talks everywhere. He's got Texas is one of his areas that he sells that stuff, and it's like the high school football is just crazy down there. One of the stats I saw last night, Kendall, and this is where the Chiefs last year at times struggled because they didn't have somebody to take the top off or to challenge anybody deep. Patrick Mahomes last night had 14 attempts against single high coverage. 14 times he threw the ball against single high coverage. He was 12 of 14 for 151 yards, and it was his highest mark in some of the advanced analytics of expected points and yards and everything, over expected, all of that stuff. It was his highest mark against single high since week 17 of 2021.
Wow.
So one of the last weeks they had Tyreek Hill
right
on the field was his highest mark last night against single high. Without Tyreek Hill, teams were challenging and saying, go deep, throw it over our head, because we don't think you're going to do it and we don't think you're going to convert, so we're going to keep everything inside. Well, they went single high, and then Mahomes was eating against the single high safeties, because whether that's Hollywood or maybe an adjustment or Rashee Rice, just able to work in the middle a little bit more. Either way, that was something the defenses utilized against the Chiefs last year, and that was the thing the defense for the Ravens used that Mahomes destroyed the most.
Yeah, and that was without Hollywood Brown.
Right.
I mean, when he gets back, Katie barred the door. You mentioned Rashee Rice. That was the biggest, I shouldn't say surprise, but I'm going to anyhow, and I just did, which is the fact of he made some catches with his hands opposed to the ball getting into his body that I thought were fabulous. And they were some of those in routes where if that ball gets tipped or whatever, it's fair game to everybody because it's in the middle. So, man, if you've got that going on, it gets pretty ugly because, man, we're going to talk about it, but Xavier Worthy and his speed, I was absolutely aghast when that was going on. He was coming around. I didn't think there was anything there, and then he just put it into another gear, and he went. And that being said, you had the left tackle that was helping lead it down there also about 20 yards, which was fabulous. And I know he had his issues, but wow. I mean, you look at it, your top 2 receivers are, I know Hollywood's not here, but you've got a second-year player, you've got a first-year player with Xavier. I thought Noah Gray did some great things at the tight end position as well. I mean, it's fun to watch. And back to your point of getting over the top, Len Dawson always used to say that, whether you complete it or not, you just put the fear into them that you might go that way. But again, as you said, 12 of 14, did you say?
12 of 14, 151 yards.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Highest advanced analytics efficiency rating since Week 17, 2021.
Wow.
Kingsley, though, I wrote this down. So we talked a little bit about the struggles that Kingsley had, but the line of scrimmage was the 21-yard line. He's playing left tackle.
Yeah.
He hits that final defender at the 8-yard line to make sure that Xavier Worthy sprint. The final block was Kingsley.
Yep.
That was the closest to the end zone was Kingsley at the 8-yard line. That's 13 yards down the field, across the field, with Xavier Worthy running.
Yeah, right.
That's the athleticism they see.
Well, it takes me back to maybe a screen with Priest Holmes one year and Will Shields running down there and almost step for step with Priest Holmes. It was amazing to me, and it's that type of athleticism. And I'm not putting Kingsley in the Hall of Fame yet, but I'm pretty excited about things. And again, I know he had some rough spots as well, but man, your first game you came out swinging.
Just looked at it again because I couldn't remember who it was. That block was on Roquan Smith.
Oh,
so Kingsley comes across the field, 13 yards down the field, and Roquan is coming back to the middle of the field coming back towards the middle of the field to go and hit Worthy. And Kingsley knocks him back, and Worthy runs right off Kingsley's backside into the end zone. So, man, I mean, that's 13 yards down the field that he did that. And I think that's one of the reasons why when the Chiefs drafted him, we knew they talked about his athleticism.
Right.
But it could be one of the reasons why they say we're going to put him at left tackle because we see the traits, and he just needs to get better and more reps. So he's not going to get as good as we maybe think he can by sitting on the sideline and watching. There will be growing pains along the way, but those growing pains will help us come game 18, 19, 20, 21. I mean, Justin Reed last night said we got 20 more games this year.
I like that.
It's a great line.
It really is.
Slipped it in, right?
Yep.
You couldn't even say, we got 20 more games and we got to go out. He just said it and continued talking.
Wow.
And that stood out to me like, oh, yeah, 20 more games. That's right. Of course, I hope they get the bye and they only have 19 more games.
True.
But still. But that's why, you see him in the game, right, Kendall, early on, and you don't see him as schemed around and helped out as much as maybe I thought he would. They kept him out there and said, do your job, Kingsley.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I know one of you or both of you talked about that in the previous segment. And I thought that was a valid point, which is, you're a rookie, you're a high draft pick, you're athletic. You do have to sink or swim, and if you give him too much help, he gets used to that. I mean, if they had to, they would, and certainly they've got that in their arsenal. But for the first game, I thought he did well. I mean, it wasn't fabulous, but it wasn't awful either. And man, if they did hit with him, and then you've got your center sign, of course, Juwan's over there on the right side, man, I mean, you just have to deal with your guards. I still think they'll take a run somehow at Trey Smith and try to keep him because, to me, if you can bolster an offensive line for keeping the best player on the planet safe, and Patrick Mahomes, you want to do that.
Yeah, I would say that Trey Smith had a couple of rough reps in pass blocking.
Did he? And I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I was too busy watching some of the other stuff going on.
Yeah,
So,
I had noted
Michael Pierce had one or two.
Michael went right by him, and then the stunt
yeah,
for Xavier. That was he and Taylor. It was miscommunication. But I would say that's more Juwan Taylor because the defensive end, his job was to come down and hit Trey Smith. So you see, he doesn't even.
He's got to write him down. Then as a tackle, you've got to write him down, keep him lateral,
right?
So the guard can bump him off
ask,
and then not coming around. Absolutely.
How do you do that when the defensive end's job is he's only going down to hit the guard? That's all he did.
You can't let him get that penetration. If you do, that destroys everything. That's all that defensive end is trying to do.
Yeah. So he went down and he hits Trey Smith's right shoulder, knocks him off balance. The defensive tackle comes around. Juwan Taylor is still going towards the defensive end.
Yeah, he's still with him because he's trying to hold on.
And the defensive tackle goes around Juwan Taylor. Juwan Taylor turns to the right to go get the defensive tackle, and the defensive end, after hitting Trey, then just goes right up. Right, so they're both running free at Mahomes, and that's why you see two guys in Mahomes' face, and he just throws it to Xavier Worthy in the end zone. Worthy does a great job of playing defensive back, but that defensive end, all he did was just go and hit Trey Smith, and they didn't work together enough to make sure that both guys didn't come free.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. You won. You're happy with 27 points, but you look at things like that. There's always things to improve on.
Yeah, and the all-22 is going to be interesting because I don't know if somebody was open. If it's like, and you gave him 2 more seconds. I remember in the Bucs game, the Chiefs were down early, and it was one of the first or second drives of the game that Mahomes and the Chiefs had the ball on 3rd down, and the touchdown pass to Travis Kelce against the Browns. when Mahomes actually hurt his toe. And Kelsey comes streaking over the middle, stops, catches it, turns around and goes and scores a touchdown. It was that exact play against the Bucs.
Okay.
Only when you look at the offensive line, there were 3 guys that weren't touched, that somehow the defensive scheme on the defensive line that they used, and Mahomes then had to tuck it and run. And the all-22, Kelsey's just wide open.
Yep.
And you're like, if that touchdown happens early, what happens there, right? Who knows? They probably still lose the game because the offensive line was bad. But that's one of those things. They won the game. I wonder what the all-22 looks like. But that has to be cleaned up. And if it is, you've got even better for an offense and more points you can put on the board against a damn fine Baltimore defense.
Well, I think that's why I'm so enthused, is they scored 27, not playing great, good, but not great offensively.
Yeah.
How many did they score last year? 17 in this game?
17.
Maybe. I mean, they did in the playoffs, but I'm saying just if they had a similar style of 17, 20, maybe.
Right. If they had last year's offense in this game last night, I see what you're saying.
They scored 27 points, and they left a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
Again, I'm enthused overall. You can see the promising, the makings of a great offense coming back, but it wasn't there quite yet.
No.
There was Samaje Perine, Juju Smith-Schuster. Again, that was a tough one. I know they're going to count that as a drop. That was a tough play. Still, you'd like to see him come down with that. Isaiah Pacheco, great play call by Andy Reid on that wheel route, getting him out into space. He would like to have that one.
Right.
I mean, just stalling in the red zone a couple of times as well. It was 4th and 4 from the 40-yard line, and they punted. I was screaming.
Yeah.
I mean, I was heated. But there were so many things that could have been better, which is why I always laugh at Isaiah Likely. If that was their best, I'm like, Isaiah, did you watch the game? Were you just not paying attention here? Or
the one thing you do realize in the NFL, Kendall, and you would know this, week 1, the team that loses is the only team that's actually going to improve the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Right.
The team that wins doesn't improve.
They're not allowed to.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think it should be noted also. Then not only do they not, they're not allowed to. It's a rule.
It's a great point.
Yeah. You brought up Tampa, though, in the Super Bowl. I think you have to talk about the fact of coming off the field, Veach is talking to Mahomes and saying, we're going to take care of this offensive line. And from there, and where we're at now, 2 Super Bowl wins later and everything going on is fabulous.
And I think coming off the Super Bowl win and the game against Baltimore and really the overall regular season when the Chiefs offense struggled and the wide receiving core, Mahomes went from his worst grouping of wide receivers and skill players to then one offseason later, I think this is his best.
Easily. I don't think it's even debatable.
I'm with you.
In fact, we will not debate it.
I think I'm going to take the other side just for the debate.
Okay.
Let me get my note card so I can read as fast as I can, just to make sure all this information is in so I can go and reference it later. I recently found that out, that's why they did that. I wasn't on the debate team. Sorry, I didn't realize that's why they were speed reading.
Yes, you were.
So fast.
I could see you being on the debate team.
Dude, I could totally speed read. I could have killed it, man. I speed talk without reading. Can you imagine? Be like, Mystical or Twister, something like that.
Twister, there's a name, yeah. Going to make you an overnight celebrity.
That's it. Let's hope. Let's hope that that eventually happens. Kendall Gammon is our guest here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. And so you come out of this game. What's your general feeling, Kendall? Are you excited like Sterling is talking about? Are you breathing a sigh of relief that we're not talking about a disastrous or what could feel like a disastrous loss of a game that you felt like you controlled for the most part but somehow lost 28-27? Like, how do you sit right now after game number 1 the rest of the way?
Probably all of the above to a degree, but the thing that I come out with the most is people asked, what I was most impressed by, and I thought it was the one-on-one tackling by the defensive backs. I thought they did a nice job, and I know they had some issues as well. There's one time on 3rd down, one-on-one tackle to force a punt. Another time, I think on 4th down, one-on-one tackle to turn the ball over. And I thought things like that were really, they stood out to me for whatever reason, because making a one-on-one tackle in the NFL against these guys is really tough. So I was impressed with that. But in general, no. Even if we had lost, I thought we played well, and we just would have looked at it. You would have looked at it with the mistakes that caused that. But again, that's why it's so important. Is going back to your point, is when you win to still look at things in a critical fashion. I have no doubt the Big Red talked about that, which is you won the game, you played well, you deserved the win. But it could have gone another way as well, and you can't overlook that. It's always a learning opportunity.
It's funny the way that it's sort of packaged in the presentation of the conversation and what took place, because they're the exact same team today, whether Likely's foot is inbounds or not.
Yeah, you're exactly
they're the
right.
exact same team,
Yes.
talent-wise, scheme-wise, and everything. The difference is they're 1-0 as opposed to what could be potentially 0-1 on the two-point conversion. But everything that happened in the game, nothing is different from what happened and improving and what you left out there and positives to take away if Likely's foot is inbounds or not inbounds. And it's just a difference of how we feel coming out of that game, looking at the next 16 about what they can do, and also knowing that you now have the tiebreaker over the Ravens when it comes to the playoffs.
Yep, and that's certainly going to come into play at the end, I would think, because Mahomes always has the right thing to say, but he's exactly right about the fact that that's a really good Baltimore team.
Yeah,
it really is.
Even with all the turnover, that's why I was saying I think Baltimore is going to be there when it's all said and done. The emergence of Isaiah Likely, silly comments aside, he's a really good player, and they run very well out of that 12 personnel. Little bigger bodies. And again, it allows Mark Andrews to stay in a little longer and help out the three new pieces on the offensive line for Baltimore. They still need to figure out how to use Derrick Henry. We talked about this a little bit, how it's an obvious tell when he's in the game. Most likely it's gonna be a run play.
Yeah. And they're under center so often. When he's not in the game, they're in shotgun where Lamar is more comfortable. It's interesting.
And I'm surprised that, again, I'm not saying Derrick Henry's a phenomenal receiving back by any means, but last year he had 31 targets, had 28 receptions. He can still catch the ball. Why not every once in a while when it looks obvious? We talked about they had those 2 back-to-back first downs. Henry comes in, obvious run. Spags sends 8, 2-yard loss. Why not just do a little slip screen there? What? And maybe we'll see that as the season progresses. But again, Baltimore's going to be there when it's all said and done. That team is too talented.
Well, and that's why credit to Steve Spagnuolo, but it's like knowing a tendency of a team that they've done something a couple of times and they are not going to keep doing that. And that was that drive after the Chiefs had scored a touchdown with Isaiah Pacheco and Mahomes had the Pacheco push. The Ravens came out on first down. They threw the ball. They picked up a first down eventually on that set of downs. First down, they threw the ball to Mark Andrews, and it was a 10-yard reception. First down, Spags sent a run blitz. Derrick Henry up the middle, -2 yards. Because Spags is sitting there going, you're not going to throw 3 straight times on first down.
Right.
You're now at the 48-yard line in our territory. You just threw back-to-back on first down. Derrick Henry's in the game. It's under center. He's the deep back. Bolton, Tranquil, Reed, go. Go. We're run blitzing, and he was toast. He had no chance to do it. Even 25-year-old Derrick Henry's not getting anything from that.
No.
And that was a loss of 2 yards. And that's, Spags dialing some things up. And it's also what we talked about, sort of what could be right now an identity crisis for the Ravens of figuring out how they mesh the two of Derrick Henry needing a quarterback to be under center and Lamar Jackson most comfortable in an MVP working out of the shotgun.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Lamar had all the yards, but again, they were scramble yards.
Yeah.
I think you guys said it. Only 5 or 6 designed runs.
Yeah, Matt had
I
the
thought that was
numbers
interesting,
there.
but it's going to be interesting to see how they do merge things because it is very, very different.
Yeah, Justice Hill had 6 receptions in the game last night. Derrick Henry had 1 target. So to your point, Sterling, there. But I will say this. It was only a few plays that he was in, but I'm excited about Samaje Perine. Like, I was excited when they signed him, but, man, he looks like he's going to be a really nice addition.
Yeah, and certainly that swing pass out of the backfield just,
might have scored
inches
on that
off.
one.
He might have. You're exactly right. But what hit his head on the goalpost. That was too bad. And I think that's just a process of the two not working together. He just came in. They just haven't had a chance to really run that enough, and they probably run it a couple times, and that's about it.
But also, you know what? Even with that, the one pass they hit, I think it was Samaje Perine had the 1 reception, 10 yards, right? So the 2 targets, the one target that we're talking about that he missed, but the 1 reception that he did have of sort of that slip screen that I'm staying in, right? Timing, 1, 2, 3, then I need to get out. Because when he's throwing the ball and Samaje Perine is catching it, Creed Humphrey is heading down the field.
Right.
So that timing has to, if Samaje Perine is late in timing to turn around, it's either a legal man downfield or offensive pass interference.
Right.
It's like one of the two. And so I first thing I noticed, I'm like, that was perfect timing. And so that's a veteran Perine that's probably run the play before. It's like, all right, Pierre, this is your regular, probably running back. This is your regular 3 count, hey, boom, 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 and then get out there and then go. But it was perfect timing. There was nothing off on that. P. Ryan stood there, looked like he was going to block.
He
boom,
knows his
turned
Mississippis.
Yeah.
He knows his Mississippis.
Turned,
Yeah.
but right as
he didn't have 3 S's in there. Just the 2.
But right as he was catching the ball is when Creed took off to go and get that guy. But that's behind. It's behind Creed and Trey Smith. Like they can't see what's going on behind them.
Right.
With P. Ryan and Mahomes.
And, going back to it just came to me, of course, I don't know about Mahomes, but I remember with Trent Green talking with him about things. He said one of the more difficult passes to make is that flat out to the running back when he's going out there, because you're trying to hit him, right there so he can catch it and run in stride. And sometimes if the back cuts it up too soon, too early, then you're too soon or too late, then the timing is off and the pass just isn't where it needs to be to go with that. So that just came to mind for me.
No, it is interesting that it seems like that is one of the more difficult throws.
It's
swing pass,
a 6-7 yard pass at the most. Probably.
Yeah, because you're right. If you throw a little bit behind him, now he's out of stop, slow down, catch it, then get going again. You throw it too far out in front of him, he drops it. You hit that thing in stride, you can pick up a lot of yards, man.
And generally, let's see, I just started talking. Generally, it's hard for me.
English
Talking
is a second
hard.
language.
Yes, absolutely. Generally, you've got a lot of traffic in there that you're trying to get the linebacker caught up in, so you want him to be in stride. But either way, they'll get that figured out. Again, that's another one.
Yeah.
No,
because there was 2, because Pacheco and P. Ryan both would have been in stride. And then
the Pacheco one was a brilliant throw. I mean, maybe it was a little too hot, but I mean,
great play call too,
right between his hands. Yeah, Pacheco needs to catch that. He's a professional.
He does. It's hard for me to think. I don't mean it bad about him. It's hard to me to think that he didn't know there was some. I mean, that he was opened up for some hits and that was coming. And
there was a guy
just
there,
one of those things. Absolutely,
there was a guy coming there, and I don't know that he would have scored, but if he catches it, he's got one guy with his full momentum going forward. Maybe he breaks it. Maybe it's a touchdown.
He's going directly into the one guy. He's not going to try and miss. He's going.
No,
he's going to
exactly
try and truck him.
But it's whether or not he breaks the tackle and stays up. Either way, it's a first down, and the Chiefs get another opportunity to get 7 on that drive instead of the 3 that they came away with.
Also think Collinsworth did have it correctly. Running back is a tough catch, that one. I mean, Alvin Kamara, Bijan Robinson, very skilled catching backs can make that. He was right. Kelsey makes that 100 times out of 100, but Pacheco,
I
well,
agree.
99. We saw him have the one drop. So.
That one, though, would be 100 out of 100.
That one's 100.
That one specifically is 100 out of 100. I've never seen Kelsey drop that particular pass coming from a running back. Wheel route as a running back. I've never seen Kelsey drop.
Holmes has always had trouble with that.
You're
route,
not wrong. You're not wrong.
But I mean, he may have trouble with it. But I think he's had trouble hitting running backs with it, because Damian Williams in the AFC Championship
that's
game.
the exact play I was thinking.
That route, Mahomes throws it, and Damian Williams looks around, and it lands right next to Damian Williams. It's like, oh, what happened? A touchdown almost happened.
It's like he wants to drive the ball, and it just needs a little more air on it. But it's tough.
He threw to Pacheco as if it was a wide receiver, but Pacheco also would be. I think Pacheco would be the first one to tell you, I got to catch that ball.
I agree.
Because in training camp, I bet he catches that. Because you're going to get thud, not hit.
Good point.
I don't want to assume that that's why Pacheco dropped the ball, is because there was somebody that was about to hit him.
Well, I don't mean. I mean, he looks for contact. To me, it's not that he's scared of the contact. You just know that it's coming, and so you're trying to prepare for it while you're trying to
bring the ball in. It's human nature.
Exactly. Exactly.
Kelsey did it down inside the 10-yard line. So I mean, even some of the best in the game, end up doing that. One of the best in the game, it's Kendall Gammon. Joining us here.
Debatable.
We're not debating.
Okay.
There is no debate.
I forgot you don't debate.
Come on. Kendall Gammon joining us. Kendall, you are the man as always. Appreciate it, brother. Next week, we'll be talking about week number 2 and a lead up to Chiefs and Bengals on that Sunday afternoon. Thank you, brother.
Look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
There's Kendall Gammon joining us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. He is brought to you by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen, recognized as the #1 place to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit crownautomotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference.
individually.
How's Blue Valley North this year? That's what I need to know.
They are 1
You need to know that?
17 in their last 2 years.
Okay, yeah, but what
They
about
dropped
this
to
year?
5A.
What about this year?
They
This
have
is
Gene Weir as their head coach.
this
there
year's
you
a new
see.
year,
They
baby.
have Gene. Do you know who Gene Weir is? That's a no. So Gene Weir is the
No, Mike Weir.
probably the greatest coach in Kansas high school football history. Coached Olathe North
Oh,
to
yeah.
all those titles.
Okay.
Darren Sproles, right? Went to Richland, Texas, had success there. Has come back, has been an assistant coach at Mill Valley for
Wait, how did
a few
Blue Valley
years.
North get him then?
I believe his well, he's 80. He's really old. There's that part.
Okay.
And I would say that in front of a team if he was right here. I believe his grandson too is one of the quarterbacks on the team.
Oh, so now we're talking grandsons. That it's not sons. Okay, that
It's
makes
not Matt Nagy.
Not when
Yeah,
you're
so
80. No,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
a grandson.
About Nagy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, De Niro might be son. So I have no idea.
That's what we need to know is Blue Valley North. That's what we really need to know. 1 in 17, but this year they're back, is what you're saying.
They're in 5A this year, but they're still in the EKL, so that's going to be a rough EKL slate. One of the toughest conferences in all the land is the EKL. So I don't know who they have tonight. I think I saw it at one point, but I can't remember. Either a Catholic school or a Blue Valley school. So they play.
I'm going to guess that's probably what it is.
Those are the two.
On Sports Radio 810, we've got Green Bay, Philadelphia coming up tonight down in Brazil.
Yeah.
And that's
I
at
was
7:15.
I was talking with the Sunday Night Football PR lady, the social media lady yesterday as we were in the tunnel getting the players walking through in their fits and all that stuff.
Yeah, right.
And
kids say.
I was like, just asking her where she's based out of, whatever. I'm like, so you're here all night? She's like, yeah, they're actually sending me to all 3 games this weekend. I'm like, what are you talking about, all 3 games? She's like, all 3 Sunday Night Football games we're doing. I'm like, what? So the one in Brazil tomorrow? She's like, yes, I've got a flight at midnight tonight.
Was it a private plane?
Well, I go, where are you stopping? Because I know KCI ain't flying straight to Brazil. She's like, oh, no, we've got PJs. Like, oh, yes, you do. Private jets does the Sunday Night Football crew have. So she's in Brazil right now, ready for it. And you know, all of her equipment was this
Phone.
cell phone.
Yep.
And I was shooting horizontally like an idiot. She was shooting vertically, I guess, like like you're supposed to.
Wasn't there a time when people got mad when you shot horizontally?
Yes, like I did my wife whenever she'd shoot at bats, right? You turn it sideways.
We can
I
see
don't
the
want
whole
up and
field.
down. Yes, I
We
want
can
to see the whole field.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when I shoot horizontally and I save it, and then I go to watch it, it like flips.
For like the so
I gotta edit
you got to
and
edit
then,
that. Yeah, exactly.
But just pick
So
pick one.
you've got to. I think for the gram, you went up and down, right? Don't you, youngster?
I never had the gram. I never posted on the gram.
For the gram,
I think
you want that.
Twitter you want
And TikTok, you definitely want up and down.
up and down.
Right?
I
Yeah.
think.
You got to have up and down for TikTok. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
the
not
way to
good
go
at
now.
that stuff though. I don't do that.
I go in between, kind of like
diagonal.
cockeyed. Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
a diagonal man.
So I go.
Yeah.
I go both ways.
So you're a big app guy, Mick, when it comes to restaurants and also those on phones. I don't. They different apps that get updated, like NFL's app, the official NFL app, got updated, and now it doesn't rotate. So it only does that.
Ooh, gross.
It's just the vertical only. So
That's a bug.
but then when you go and watch the game, you can do it horizontal and it'll be the full picture. But in order to get to the game, I've got to turn my iPad
So
to
you
vertical.
have just
and
this
it just
issue on your
updated.
iPad, or do you have it on your phone too? When
Are you
you're
talking about
trying-
watching the game tonight on your iPad?
No, I'm just talking about NFL's new update to their app is only vertical. It doesn't auto rotate. And there are a couple of apps that done that. Our text app on the iPad, if nobody else would care about this because they probably don't have the text
I
app
don't think
we
people
have.
care about this at all
Yeah.
in general.
No, but I'm just wondering why somebody would do that.
This
It
whole
seems
segment's
dumb.
been a wash. We've talked
Yeah.
about this has been.
It hasn't been a wash. We've talked high school football, Mill Valley, and the NFL is pretty smart. And I think most tech people that are running apps are pretty smart. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind making an app that does not rotate.
to piss you off.
Exactly.
Well, I'm sure this is a new development. And just so I know you're joking, I have no idea about apps or really technology. I call Mackenzie Nelson my IT team. So
There you go.
whenever like
right.
once a week, I'll turn on Twitter and it'll be Twitter dark. I'm like, no, I don't want this. I want the regular background.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't
and
like
I go,
Twitter
how do I do? Mackenzie, help! Get out of it. She comes and clicks 3 buttons. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
Which is funny coming from you were an early adopter to Twitter. That was you were. I remember that even when I was in high school.
Oh, 09er.
Yeah,
something
you
like that,
you were
something
an
like
OG.
that. One of the OGs. Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
I grew up just following Mick's Twitter account. Yeah.
You like that, Mick? Sterling grew up watching you, idolizing, wanting to be you.
Not that part.
I grew up
Big in high
watching you
school.
on Twitter.
Not that part.
Big
but,
in the high schools.
You
Grew
were
up
you
watching
were
you on
big in the
Twitter.
high schools back then, Mick.
Yeah.
Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some Chiefs with Mick Schaefer. Royals back in action tonight. 3-game set taking on the Minnesota Twins. We'll talk a little bit about that, but certainly Chiefs get win number 1 to start the season. They knock off the Ravens. We'll hear a little from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Justin Reid had some interesting things to say in the locker room post-game, and then hear from some of the Ravens and Lamar Jackson being a flat earther, and Roquan Smith out looking for Peyton Hendershot, who I don't think people in Kansas City would be able to tell you who he is either at that point. So we'll do that next. Got one more hour with Mick. We will see who's lighting it up and also get the cuts before the show is over.
Cuts.
We will.
Cuts.
We will later on in the show, probably a little less than an hour from now. Mick, how fortunate are the Chiefs to walk out of there with a victory last night?
Very, but I mean, I say that after just about every Chiefs win. The Chiefs are back, right? This is what they do. This is how they play football. I don't know if they've ever taken it that close before, right? And, we were joking on the set last night, like, we called a game of inches. You might have to turn the ruler around. Look at the centimeters for this one, because that's what it was, a game of centimeters. A lot to take away from that one, right? I think it's funny how, like, on the set, we were praising Isaiah Likely. He had a great game. I think here in the respect of a lot of Chiefs fans, and then just kind of gave it right back afterward with the taunts at the fans leaving the tunnel.
Yeah,
and then the post game, and
he said nice things to the fans leaving the tunnel.
But for a good 4 to 6 minutes, he had a lot of Chiefs fans respect. I don't know. I'm sure he was in pain. The third last play of the game when he was down for like 2 minutes, I thought he was a lot closer to an ER than he was to coming back in a play later.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some gamesmanship there.
I thought that shoulder was separated. Like I did. Like he was laying there with his arm just like limp, and he was holding his left like clavicle or shoulder. I'm like, wow, he hit hard.
He got Miyagi'd on the sideline.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I actually thought he broke like the forearm because he landed on it awkwardly too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like he broke a lot, but I would say that it wasn't the worst thing because the Chiefs got a little bit of rest with their pass rush.
A little bit of a breather there. And, when he came, and afterward, it took me a while to put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, oh, yeah, he was on his deathbed there with 10 seconds left.
That's the guy? That's the guy. Oh, my God, that's the same guy? This is Baby Ruth and Babe Ruth and Great Bambino? It's crazy.
I think the play of the game down the stretch is the Mahomes catch of his own pass.
Yes, because it took off 40 seconds.
Legit.
Yep. That is, okay, so there, and I'm not just saying he prevented an interception, which he probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying the part of him catching. A smart play there by a quarterback is to knock it down.
Correct.
A brilliant play is to catch it.
Here's Patrick Mahomes on his reception. This is clip number 12. Patrick Mahomes on his reception.
Yeah, no, it was if I could have just got it over the guy, it was going to be a first down. I could already see Trav about to block Roquan. Rasheed was going to catch it, but the kid made a great play. I think it was number 23. He jumped up, made a great play, hit it in the air, and more than just, I think, just getting the interception, I wanted to catch it so the clock would run down to 2 minutes and run some time off for our defense. And, I mean, I know I got 2 yards, but I thought it was pretty good catch. So maybe get Coach Reed to throw me a pass here somewhere.
Hit him with a jump ball.
Well, and the blueprint is that'll be the NFL Play of the Year next year, right? Because the last time these two teams played, Lamar did it.
I was going to say the same thing, that if history tells us anything, that's on the right track for Play of the Year at the ESPYs.
That's
although
exactly
they won the game, I think the prereq is for you to lose.
You have to lose.
Because then the guy who won that game then was Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And then you get like the pity awards after when you don't make the Super Bowl.
Play of the Year. You caught your own pass.
That's his. That's his first reception, right? I don't remember any others.
No, I don't either.
I don't remember any others either. Yeah. But it was a great play.
Carson Wentz to Mahomes.
Yeah. I tweeted out that when it happened, I'm like, that's 30-second play. That place took 30 seconds off the clock. Now, other people are like, yeah, it saved an interception. Yeah. I'm like, but how many quarterbacks knock it down?
The biggest part is the time there.
Because they had no timeouts
left. He's between two guys. I mean, the smart play is to knock it down. Yeah. The brilliant play is to catch it and take it to the 2-minute warning.
And also for him to say...
he's thinking about that the whole time.
Yes, to him to go, well, we needed the clock to keep running, so I had to catch the ball.
Chiefs don't need a big-body wide receiver when you already have a big-bodied wide receiver in Mahomes.
Right, that's right.
It does suck, though, because they had a wide-open receiver, and the game would have been over at that point. But, he wanted to pad his stats.
What are you watching right now?
Roughly about 17,000.
Seriously?
Or 500, whichever one you want to go with, whichever one you think is closer.
I want to go 17.5.
17.5.
Which, by the way, was
$1, Bob.
What Chiefsaholic got. 17.5.
17.5. Yep, we're all up one on Sterling right
No,
now.
this is
Take that.
No.
Take
Don't. You're not
that.
fighting back
dog.
on
This
Yes.
is
Sorry, player.
not fair.
Why? Why is it not
I
fair?
didn't do. He did all this research
I didn't do
on
any
this.
research
Nobody
on
did
it.
any
But you
research.
went with
what
Jason.
What research did I do?
I didn't know what
Typically-
he was doing. I was going second. I went second.
I gave
You
you
went
the
first.
full
I went
research.
second.
I gave you the full. I didn't. Give
Yeah,
you
I
the
had to pick
research
first. That
after.
was a little bit of unfairness there.
So on the ones where I picked first for
That was
the
unfair?
the cat, was
but
that
but
cat-
you
was
had
that unfair?
research. I don't
No, I did
study
not. I
Xavier
looked at the
Barbadu,
text.
or I don't study Chiefsaholic. Okay,
but I
didn't
told
know
you-
his case outside of the fact that he's a clown.
Well, he was a wolf, but he was a
Gotcha on that one.
he was a wolf in wolf's clothing.
Yes.
But I gave you the research. I told
No, you told me after
Oh,
I
well,
went
go,
first.
Go check tape. Check tape. I specifically
You
said
did
we
say
said it.
that.
We
10
said it at
10 to 20.
We said it at 15.5, and I said his defense is looking for 10. The prosecutors are looking for 20. That's why we said it at 15
You know what?
and a half.
It was an emotional
because-
hedge. I'm happy that he got more than my 15.
and I'm happy that he did as well, and I'm happy that three of us have a point.
Yeah. You don't seem happy.
Three of
Well,
us, as in
quite
me,
frankly, it feels
Nick,
like I need to give you guys a point, and just because it's a handicap, because
right?
I keep winning, and
Well, it's not about
You've
winning.
had one win, right?
Yeah.
2 American Century Championship.
You got first place in both those?
Yeah.
You sure?
About
And what was the other one?
Royals is the only other one you would
I think the
involved
Royals
with.
one. I think
It's
I'm
not
about to
over,
go
though,
1-0.
right?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, but you don't have to. It's
Yeah,
not about
nobody
winning,
keeps track
though.
of first place.
It's not winning.
I do.
Nobody-
Sorry, people who get second say they don't keep track of winning.
Nobody keeps track of the survivors
Oh,
from the shark attack. We only talk about the ones that didn't make it.
That's it. Yeah.
So, we're not doing a moment of silence for the person that escaped the shark attack.
The quickest.
Yeah.
We're talking about the unfortunate.
Man, your
ones that
picks were
finished
so good though in the
So good.
NFL side. You'll make up for it.
So good.
I don't like it.
seriously.
I don't like
I think
this.
you're gonna kill it.
Yeah, you'll be great. I mean,
I
did
don't
you
like
hear
this.
yourself talk about yourself? Those were really good picks.
Maybe
if I can believe what you were saying about you, then
Well,
you knocked
Mick,
it out of the park.
Mick, without confidence, all I have is my good looks.
See, and that's the thing that bothers me about Sterling is he tries to act like he's more humble than I am, and
You're the
I am
humblest.
probably the most humble person I've ever met. Like I am filled to the brim with humility. Like I am. There is nobody that is more humble than me,
I am.
and I would challenge any.
No.
Sure, yeah, okay, buddy.
You're the most humble. I'm the most humblest.
No, it doesn't.
So
I mean,
that's-
seriously,
that's more humbler.
I think it's laughable that you think you're more humble than me. Like,
think it's
mean, seriously,
laughable-er.
it's absurd. The most humble person you probably ever met is me. Okay, I don't even think it's close. Everybody
Sarcasm.
Everybody is inferior to how humble I am. Is what I'm saying. Do you think
Dylan actually probably is the most humble guy I know.
Yeah,
Full transparency, Dylan
actually
is
might be.
exactly.
No,
And probably the most
I'm not.
talented.
I'm not.
No, he actually might be. Who speaks about themselves in a warped view, maybe more, Sterling or Isaiah Likely?
That's a tough one.
Let's
I mean,
hear
I
Isaiah
haven't
Likely
heard
talk
much
about-
from Likely.
Let's hear Isaiah Likely talk about
Heard a
Sterling.
lot from Sterling.
Let's hear Isaiah Likely talk about Sterling.
What do you take away from a competitive game like that against this team?
I say this is probably the worst game we're going to play all year. So if this is their best that they got, I mean, good luck in the postseason.
that under on the Chiefsaholic was gonna be with my worst take I'm gonna have all year. So get ready for the playoffs.
That one sentence, you can draw so much from, right? A painting's 1,000 words. That sentence,
Yeah.
maybe 10,000 words.
It's like a work of art. Every time you look at
extrapolate
it,
from.
you can pick
Right.
something else out of it.
If that's the best they got, first of all, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
This is the worst game we're going to play. Really? Is
Really?
it?
What,
You sure about that?
Wait, you starred in it. Does that
Worst game we're going to play. So you're saying the worst game you're going to play is when
Listen,
you had 100 yards and a
Jason,
touchdown?
I took it
worst
as,
game we're going to play is when I'm doing all this.
I took it as him sincerely wishing them luck in the postseason. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love a team that's been
Isaiah.
struggling in the playoffs year after year after year, wishing the back-to-back Super Bowl champions luck. Like, they're going to need it. Wait till we face them in the playoffs.
You know,
wait, we've not
Speaking
beat
of
them
back-to-back, those are the
in the
they've
playoffs.
lost to the Chiefs in back-to-back games
It's
now.
so good.
Do you know how this is our worst game we're going to play? You know how bad we were? I was the leading receiver on this team. This is easily the worst game we're going to play all year. I had twice as many yards as the next closest guy.
But
how we were crap today.
The best part is just the overall tone of like, let me tell you about the playoffs, Chiefs, okay? Good luck there. Let me educate you, Kansas City Chiefs, about these playoffs. This effort ain't gonna work. My gosh, these guys have so much to learn.
Let me tell you about how it works in the NFL, Chiefs. After week 1, we lost. We are going to get better. You guys? I don't think there's anything uphill from here.
You peaked.
Yeah, this is as good as it's going to get for you. So that's how the NFL works. After week 1, the teams that lose can improve. The teams that win are required to stay stagnant until they lose. Then they can improve from that loss.
It's Section A, Paragraph B, Sentence 3.
If he wanted to be accurate, he could have said, good luck in the overtime period of the AFC Championship and beyond, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because they passed every test the last 6 years before that. The only time they have stumbled is overtime AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
Well, if he wanted to be more accurate, he would have Mahomes throwing him the ball.
It's true.
Speaking of which, Lamar believes that the earth is flat. It's clip number 14, please, for Lamar last night.
I thought it was a touchdown. I still think it's a touchdown.
Really?
Still think it's a touchdown, huh?
You still think it's?
I love that he just thinks that the NFL, with all the cameras and everything, would somehow doctor it, or somehow would say, you know what? You know what? You know what'd be good for the NFL right now?
Doctor the logbooks.
You know what'd be great for the NFL right now? The NFL could have a 2-point conversion, and it could either come down to one final play, or it could be kind of a letdown where his toe's on the line and the Chiefs win by 7. Yeah, I don't know, Lamar. It's a tough one for the NFL to try and somehow, in your mind, cheat their way to.
You're trying to convince yourself that like you got screwed for whatever reason. Like I think it's a touchdown. I still think it's a touchdown. Like you can't though. I mean, like we all
these
saw
guys
it. Like it sucks.
Yeah, I would say he has eyes, but we
understand.
saw him not see Zay Flowers wide open in the end zone, so maybe not.
Well, I understand the frustration because I would be absolutely frustrated if it's a half an inch away from tying the game. And what I believe, and Matt and I talked about it, and Kendall, on board, and we'll never be able to prove it, don't know, but if they got the touchdown, I had zero confidence in the Chiefs stopping the 2-point conversion.
Oh, I can prove to you that I had zero confidence too.
Yes.
Is that what we're proving?
No, I can't prove that they would have stopped
yes.
it, but I can prove that I had zero confidence. We don't know if they would have stopped it or not, but when that touchdown happened and I saw Harbaugh giving the 2 sign, I was like 28-27. Let's see how they get there because no confidence they're going to stop this. And so, I can understand the frustration from the Ravens, but they're the exact same team as the Chiefs are today, whether his foot was in bounds or not. It's just 1-0 or 0-1. They're the exact same thing.
I mean, this is the NFL. There's very little separation between good teams and bad. It's a bunch of those plays just like that. And so you are what your record says you are, and that's a huge tie-breaking win, obviously, for Kansas City. And
well, the Ravens are just mad they're the worst team in the NFL right now.
They are. Well, Barstool, I think, tweeted out, like, Patrick Mahomes, 1 interception. The rest of the NFL combined, 0. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
I do. Really makes you think.
Really makes you think.
It really does. It really does. It really does. It really does make you think there. You know what? Let's hear from Justin Reed. This is clip number 13. This is Justin Reed in the locker room. It's about 2.5 minutes, but interesting stuff from the chief safety, who I think had himself a really good game last night. Made a couple of big hits in open field. But here's Justin Reed last night in the locker room.
It's always so fun to play in front of this home crowd, defending the home opener. Great win all around. A lot of guys made a lot of big plays, and we're just going to continue to build off of it.
What was going through your mind there toward the end?
Well, they made a big play to get us down there. It's like, well, we still got to make a stop here, so got to stop on the first one. Found a way to get a stop on the second one with a little bit. I think that was Drew and 6, able to give him a little extra push to get that toe out of bounds. And, the great teams always find a way to win. So we're just going to hone in on that. We're never going to get complacent or comfortable. We're going to keep finding ways to get better and just find ways to win.
There were a couple of times that they were right there by the goal line, and you guys were coming up with, I think Leo had the block. Then there was a strip sack. There were things working for you when you got close.
Yeah. And it's really, honestly, it's just buying into the game plan of defense. There's the most turnovers that happen in week 1, so we're just having a focus on getting our hands on the ball and finding ways to cause turnovers and give our offense the ball, because when 15 has the balls in his hands, it's always magical.
I know last year we opened the season with the loss against the Lions.
We're starting a lot better this year, baby. Yeah, we're starting a whole lot better this year. So we got 20 games to go. We're going to take it 1 week at a time. We're going to get a chance to watch Cincinnati play and then bring them here next week.
Justin, thoughts on Xavier Worthy? Holy crap.
2 touchdowns in the opener, man. That kid's going to be so special. It's so fun to say that the track meet is back open in Kansas City. So opposing defenses beware.
You missed a lot of time, in the preseason. Did you feel like there was any rust out there once you guys all got out there? Didn't spend a lot of time in the secondary together in the preseason.
Yeah, I think that the last 2 weeks was just really good for us to blend together and staying involved through training camp without still being on the field, but still being there with the guys just helps so much, and we're just able to build off of what we did last year. But felt great out there. Didn't feel like I was limited by my quad at all. And excited to just find ways to continue to get better and keep making this defense more tight-knit.
How chippy did he start to get in the second half? These teams don't seem to like each other. Rematch of the NCAA championship game.
I mean, that's what happens. You got 2 talented teams that both want to win really bad, and, if guys didn't have that type of edge, it wouldn't be as fun. So we want to win, they want to win, but we found a way to win.
We'll never know, but, during the replay, were you mentally preparing for them to go for 2? What do you think they would have done?
Yeah, they were going for 2.
Yeah.
They're absolutely going for 2. Yeah, they didn't want to see us in overtime.
You were ready?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we already know it's going to be 22 up the gut, or Lamar naked boot, something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was 22 up the gut. I think the ball was going to be in Lamar's hands some way, shape, or form. Maybe they were playing off 22 up the gut. But Lamar
wasn't going to be 22.
Yeah, Lamar was going to have the ball. But I did like, Justin Reed, one of the things he said in there while he was, giving an answer and just sort of slid it in there, like, we got 20 more games to play, and they kept going with
that.
It's so great.
Well, I would have liked him to say 19 more games to play.
Right, I know.
But the bye.
But then
they want the 2 seed, it sounds like, to Justin. He wants the 2.
No, but 20 more games covers all bases. So for a fact you're playing in the Super Bowl. You may not have the bye. If you say 19
and you
it's
have
like
the
if you
bye.
have the bye, now you only played 19. So 20.
Justin Reed only predicted them going to the AFC Championship game.
They got the bye, and Justin Reed said they had 20 games left after the 20th game is going to be the AFC Championship game. Does he know? Did he get the script for the NFL? Yeah. Are they going to lose the AFC Championship? I can't live in a world where the Chiefs lose in the AFC Championship game again. I can't do it. I just cannot do it. I've been there. I've done that, and I don't know what that. I don't know. I don't want to know what that's like ever again. Okay?
Good luck in that postseason. If that's the number of games they think they're going to play, good luck.
If you think you're going to play 3 games,
if you think you're going to go into Baltimore and beat this Ravens team,
yeah.
Good luck to you. Good luck to you.
We'll see
Thank
them.
you. We'll take that good luck.
We'll see them again, and we'll be wearing the white jerseys. But we're going to see them again for sure.
Like, how short of a memory do they have?
Listen, we've talked about this before. These guys, they just say stuff without regard to being checked or being hypocrites or having it thrown back in their face. Because that's and a lot of times that's what makes them great competitors, in that they'll get out there and they'll forget the bad thing that happened the last play.
They're all
and you
closers.
go right back to it, and that helps, as opposed to, a lot of times the thinking man's like, oh gosh, I've been bad the last 2 plays. I must be on a skid, and that
the golfer mentality.
Yeah. But every mentality, any sport, like, you just got to flush it. And that's what these guys do with their comments, too, a lot of times.
It's closers in baseball.
They'll say stuff, and they'll move on to the next thing. It doesn't matter if you have sports talk radio people bashing them the next day.
It does matter. It makes I mean, here's the thing. It's a jinx. If you pick them to win or lose, there's a lot of influence on that. One of the things that we watched last night with the kickoff rule is the Chiefs kicking it off said...
The back of my eyelids?
Yeah. Chiefs kicking it off said 20, 25, 30. Who cares? Just kick it through the end zone, okay? Which is weird that last year they would kick it to where the other team would return it a number of times. And that was when you would get the ball 25 if you just kicked it to the end zone. And then last night, they're like, man, just kick it to the end zone, and you get the ball at the 30-yard line.
It's almost like they, at this point, and maybe justifiably so, they don't trust their coverage set up that way, because it is almost like just one line of defense there, as opposed to you can set up a first, second, and third wave of guys sprinting down the field for 40 yards.
Well, you saw Carson Steele even. Carson Steele didn't get a full head of steam, but he just went north-south and got to like the 34.
But there was a holding penalty.
No, that was the second one.
No, the first one.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The first one, yeah, you're right.
Carson Steele got he got past the 30, and
right. After the touchdown.
It was good, but he didn't do anything special. He literally just ran north-south and got to the 34.
I think it needs to be the 35 next year, and I don't know if that'll change much either.
Let me ask you this then, and this is something I think maybe Andy will be asked about it moving forward, but the Chiefs have a 4th and 4 at the 40-yard line, and they have a choice. You can go for it at that point.
You have 3 choices there.
Up by 10.
You have Butker. You have 3 choices.
You can kick a 57, 58-yarder with Butker. Or you can punt.
And let me know what you guys think the percentages are. I think picking up a 4th and 4 is about 60% for the Chiefs and what they have.
Sure.
I think making a 58-yard field goal for Butker is about a 75%
No,
undertaking.
I would say about 50-50. 57's far, man.
He's hit 62.
I know, but I'm saying
he was
what's his plus 50 field goal?
He was 5 of 5 last year on 50 or more yards.
Yeah, but that doesn't always mean it's 57, 58. Okay, I'll say 60% if that appeases.
I would say about 100% of the time, all of those kicks would be good from 57 or 58.
Yes, they're good, but
yeah,
you
I'm going to say it's
give it straight
58%. 58%.
It's whatever it is.
I'll go 58 with you.
57.5.
Whatever the number is, it goes.
The inverse.
If he tries a 70-yarder, it's a 70% chance.
57 is the middle, so it's 57%. It's 57. 56% becomes a 50.
Looking at what he's tried plus 50, I think it's well above 50%. Regardless,
they kicked the ball in the end zone.
And
they punted,
and it was close to being at the 1.
It was,
but even there's no risk there. The risk reward is just skewed. There is very little risk because, as we saw 2 plays later, they were at the 40, right? And as we were talking about on the break, you now voluntarily kick the ball through the end zone to give them the football at the 30. That's 10 yards difference. Mm-hmm. You're okay with them having at the 30, but you're not at the 40 when you have the chance to pick up 4 yards to get more points in whatever fashion. And there was a lot of the third quarter left to play.
Yeah.
It's not like there's 5 minutes left in the game to where like, okay, we're up 2 scores. We're going to salt this game away. No way they can get 2 possessions in here if we pin them inside the 10. I get that way thinking there was so much game left.
Baltimore ran, so you punted. Baltimore ran 7 plays before the end of the third quarter. So you had the punt and then 7 more plays for Baltimore before the.
It's archaic thinking that just.
I was almost beside myself when you have the best quarterback in football. The offenses look good overall. I had so many people because I tweeted that. I go, why are you punting before they even punted? I didn't even know the outcome yet. It could have been down on the 1, and it was a thought process. And I had so many people in my mentions going, well, the defense has played great, so they're playing, and I go,
exactly.
I love how
You're making my point.
Yes.
You're making my point. I had one of a guys sitting next to me. I'm like, why are you punting? He's like, well, you trust your defense here. I'm like, exactly. You trust your defense from their 40.
I could understand.
And they scored a touchdown, by the way, on that, so everything becomes moot because they scored either way.
Yeah, that was that.
But I mean,
likely long touchdown. But if you were up 13-10.
You eliminated your chance of getting points there,
Agreed with my
of
point,
keeping the ball and moving it. Yes.
If you were up 13-10, I could see Andy saying, "No, we're kicking it. If we don't pick it up,
you
they
could
only
put the game
with Justin
away
Tucker."
at that point.
Oh, I agree. But if it's 13-10, Andy might be all right. It's Justin Tucker. He can kick a long field goal, tie it, or short field. Let's kick it. But let me make the point. Let's kick it deep, and hopefully you get him inside the 5-yard line. You do have the luxury of being up 10 points. Like, to your point, just to add on to what we're already saying and to the point you guys are making with all the other reasons why it made sense.
There was very little to no risk
you're up by 10.
Running a play there.
You have a chance to really control the game, and it is one of the things the Chiefs have struggled with in the past, in that they do like to make things dramatic at the end of the game, whether they do it on purpose or not. Like just taking a stranglehold of the Bills game was over if you don't fumble through the end zone. And now it's a game because you fumbled through the end zone, right? Like you just
felt like some brother-in-law ball there too a little bit. Right? Remember the Patriots game last year where like both coaches, it was an odd maybe 7 to 10 point game, and both coaches decided like into the third quarter, we're just going to shut this down.
Yep.
Right? We're going to keep and both teams had opportunities for the Chiefs put it away, for the Patriots to get back in and like, no, we're just some brother-in-law ball here.
Yeah, I just with the way that the kickoff rules are now, if you're willing to give them the ball at the 30, you should be more aggressive on fourth downs
when you have the ball
on the other
at
side of the field.
40.
Yeah, when you've got the ball at the 40. And you've got Patrick Mahomes. Like you do it. And if we're talking about how good this offense is, they don't have Hollywood Brown, but they had 7.1 yards per play, which would be the third highest last year.
Yeah.
Of any game they played last year, 7.1 is the third highest average yards per play. That was going on in the game. And if you've got Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, P. Ryan or Pacheco, Gray, whoever, 4 yards, I'll take my chances, especially when Patrick Mahomes can also use his legs to pick up 4 yards, as opposed to if I kick this, we might pick up a number of yards in field possession, but also it might go in the end zone and we only pick up 20.
Every time it seems like these teams always have a play to get them out from under their own goalpost, right? It's a 10-yard tight end out or whatever, and all of a sudden they're rolling on a scoring drive. And you're like, oh, okay, they're back to where you punted from. And I mentioned the field goal. The field goal would have been a distant second choice for me because, I mean, you're still taking a two-possession game and keeping it a two-possession game. If it's 14 points there, maybe you do to get it to 17, get it to 3.
Sure.
But, of course, it's at the 48. If you miss it, it's where the ball is spotted is where they would get it. So you'd forfeit eight more yards of territory there. But I still think that's the second. I think it's better than punting.
No, I'm going for it. 10 out of 10. I'm going for it. In that same exact situation, same exact scenario, 10 out of 10. I'm going for it. Then I'm kicking the field goal with Butker. Then I'm punting it. I think he will be better in punting. I think at first game, he was.
He did what my wife did. He outkicked his coverage.
Yes. touchdown, even though his foot was out of bounds. But I brought this stat up with Kendall Gammon earlier in the show, and I want to bring it up again, but I want to play this clip first. Mahomes talking about this clip number 8. Patrick Mahomes talking about how Xavier Worthy impacts the offense for the other weapons around him.
100%. I mean, just having him out there, it just opens up stuff. I mean, you saw when he's out there, they're playing shell coverages. It's getting guys like Trav, and it's getting guys like Rasheed open underneath. And that's what's so great about this offense is we're able to do all of that. And that's when we're at our best. And so, like I said, we get Hollywood out there too. It's going to be tough for defense to decide who they want to cover.
I mean, Hollywood didn't even play last night, and they had 7.1 yards per play. But here's the stat that I get. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's the stat I brought up with Kendall, because I think this goes along with Xavier Worthy. So Patrick Mahomes last night had 14 passing attempts against single high coverage. And in those 14 passing attempts, he was 12 of 14 for 151 yards, and it was his highest of the advanced analytics of expected points added and efficiency and everything. It was his highest against single high coverage since week 17 of 2021. Tyreek Hill was on the team. And single high coverage, the Chiefs couldn't do anything against it. They would just bring everybody down, make it feel like it was so congested, and nothing to take the top off, nothing to scare the defense to playing behind them. And now, single high coverage, boom, they're torching them. Okay, well, go play single high coverage now moving forward. So then you get them into shell, you get them into two high, and now you can work Rice and Kelsey even more over the middle. Like you now have answers to the different questions on the test that they didn't have last year or the year before.
It's funny that, like, the same stuff that plagued them reared their ugly heads last night. Red zone drops, or at least catchable footballs, right, that could have added 8 more points.
Putting their foot on the throat of an opponent and really take control of the game.
Pass pro issues, a couple bad decisions by Patrick Mahomes throwing the football. But all that stuff, it felt like the passing offense was back. Even with all the, it felt back. Dude. Right? In one game, Xavier Worthy showed what Marquez Valdez-Scantling was brought here to do but never did. You maximize your targets, your touches. You're not going to get 9 or 10 of them like a Rasheed Rice. You're going to get 3 or 4, and you got 3 targets, right, or 3 touches at least. I think 4 total targets. Yesterday, he gets 2 touchdowns out of him, right? And yards galore. For the longest time, he's the Chiefs' leading, like into the second half, he's the Chiefs' leading rusher for 21 yards because Pacheco kept getting like 1 yard per carry. And so that was just great to see the passing attack of you had the guy that can take the top off in Xavier Worthy, and then you had the possession guy that's going to keep possessions alive in the middle of the field, get chunk yardage in Rasheed Rice, and new guy over here, Pete Sweeney. He was on our show last week, and he talked about that. Was one of my bold predictions came from him. He's like, this offense, I don't think it's going to run through Travis anymore. I think it runs through Rasheed, and it looked like that in week 1.
I mean, and Baltimore kept putting a linebacker on him in the slot. Like, okay, quick little jab outside and now cut inside, and Simpson, Roquan, like, okay, good luck. Like, what are you guys doing? And then to start the second half, they did the same thing, only Rasheed Rice was on the quick slant. The safety read it and came down, and Mahomes just double-clutched it and waited for Rasheed to go over the top, hit him, 34-yard gain. Like, it was too easy, and then they kept going in that formation, and that's without Hollywood out there as well. Like, there's so much optimism.
I want that pass protection he got last year, which was funny, right? The best, the most time he's ever had, and maybe the worst season. Because I think it can be just absolutely lethal at this point.
And they had their first 2 touchdown drives. Out of all the plays, their first 2 touchdown drives, they had a total of 1 third down play. That's feeling different than last year, right?
It is.
Because it felt like third down was the defining play of each drive. How do you convert on third down? You know you're going to get third downs. You know they're going to be – if you score a touchdown on this drive, how many third downs did you convert to score the touchdown on this drive? And they had 1 drive with no third downs. They had another drive, the only third down they faced. Well, they had another drive where – so the drive that they had no third downs, they faced 1 second down play. That was it. They had 1 play on second down when they drove the field and scored a touchdown. That That's the old school. That's the older feeling of
It
the
is.
Chiefs' offense when it was like, man, they scored again. Didn't even have a third down on that one. Last year, they scored a touchdown. But it was they were 3 of 3 on third downs on that drive. Really nice plays, good plays.
No,
Stepped up and guys did it. You didn't have to do
I think
it.
Mahomes should have been gone for about 350 last night, and with 8 more points. I think they after the fumble, not getting 7 there. You had basically Pacheco, Juju, and Travis all with drops in the red zone. I don't know if they was all qualified. Sometimes drops in the NFL are like errors in Major League Baseball. You have to really screw it up to earn one, but those are catchable. Let's about just a game or two where Chiefs receivers make tough catches. I see those. I see those all the time in the highlights every week around the NFL.
Just come through with tough
Some in Kansas City.
catches.
Yeah, it's possible. You're amongst the best at doing it.
Yeah.
Go do it.
It would have been nice if Mahomes would have had, I don't know, let's say 9 more yards passing.
Would have been nice.
Would have been nice for just
a
9,
random number.
Just a random, just 9 more yards passing to get to, what would that have been? 300. Yeah, I don't know why. But
Would have been nice too. Had he
cool.
He popped past that to Xavier Worthy instead of going behind him.
Agreed.
Some of those plays you can check there beforehand. It's like, hey, just go in front of me.
It'd have been nice on 1st and goal from the 1 if you let him throw the ball.
I know, right?
Like, Pacheco's going to get a touch. Like, geez, Andy, do you want the guy to get 50 touchdowns or not? You're not going to get 50 touchdowns passing if you're going to hand it off at the 1-yard line every time.
Because that was was that Noah Gray going down to the 1?
Yeah. Score next time, Noah.
Exactly.
New contract, you're going to get tackled at the 1? All right, you know what? Is the ink dry on that one? Because I think we might want to. No, he made a hell of a diving catch, too, on to the right
Great
side
play.
when he was sliding and made the catch. That was a big play. Held on to the ball. All right, let's talk about who is lighting it up, besides the Chiefs being the only undefeated team left in the NFL. Sterling, who's lighting it up for you right now?
The Bengals, because the Bengals are kind of lighting up the entire team right now.
Really?
Jamar Chase broke his silence today and said he'd be willing to play this year if the two sides can't agree to an extension. But whether he actually plays this year is completely up to him. Says, quote, it's my decision.
Yeah, it is.
By the way,
everything is.
T. Higgins remains to be his tonight, or I guess tomorrow, or Sunday, sorry.
Yep, Sunday.
No idea he was going to play because he had a hamstring injury on Thursday, so things are going great in Cincinnati.
I think Jamar Chase just, for health-wise and career longevity, you should just take a year off every once in a while. Like a gap,
Bell, right?
Like a gap year.
Absolutely.
Gap year between high school and the new contract. So gap year.
He's already done it. Remember, he sat out for COVID in college.
He knows about gap years. He's taking years off. And look how great he was after that, huh? Rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year. Come on now.
Jamar Chase said that he had a deadline of today to come to an agreement, said, quote, it's a small chance it happens, but who knows what will happen in the next couple hours. And my favorite quote, when he was asked about a report that he wanted to top Jefferson's $140 million by 1 penny because him and Justin Jefferson, obviously teammates, good friends, he said, quote, if I want to beat Justin, I'm going to beat the bleep out of Justin, not by a penny, brother.
These guys just say stuff.
I like how he said, if I play this year, it's up to me. I'm like, yeah. That's typically how it works. You know,
we're all making our own choices.
They can't make you play. They'll fine you,
but
they can't make you play because you are under contract. But you will get fined.
Volunteers, not hostages. Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin, absolutely. I think they should just trade Jamar Chase. Tomlin would. Tomlin wouldn't be afraid to do it. And you know who's won Super Bowls? Steelers. Tomlin. You know who hasn't? Bengals. Trade Jamar Chase. Win a Super Bowl. That's what I say. Makes sense.
Figured it out.
Dylan, who's lighting it up for you?
Who's lighting it up? Mike Tirico. He had a good night. He was throwing some jabs left and right, but he definitely made sure to throw one at the 2-minute timeout. I think I'm getting that right.
Yeah. I loved it. Yes.
Here is Mike Tirico.
As we get to the 2-minute warning, we can call it the 2-minute warning in the NFL. Not the 2-minute timeout like they do in college. We're waiting all weekend to do that. You're watching NFL Kickoff presented by YouTube TV.
Oh, you cut off the "you've been warned."
Oh, yeah. Well, the tweet actually.
Stupid tweet.
That's on me.
Well, the tweet isn't smart enough to know that he ended it by saying, "You've been warned."
Yes.
You've been warned.
That was the best part of it, too.
So which side is he on? Is he on warning side or timeout side?
I couldn't tell. I think he was just sort of making.
I feel like we should all be on warning side. That's
I
what
think
it's all
I think he was just
warning.
making fun of college by saying, we're not going to call it the warning because the NFL calls it that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
You're doing the exact same thing the NFL's doing. Just
Yeah.
call it 2-minute warning. Everybody's called it that.
It's a warning for the end of the half, for the end of the game. That's what it is.
Just call it Twitter. It's what we've always called it. Just keep calling. We all
Talking
know
about
what
a
that is.
league, or I guess we're talking about an entity that still has a 15-yard pass interference, and if it's even 80 yards down the field, so they're not really great about updating the rules.
We're also talking about a rule that if you hit somebody too high that's going 15 miles an hour and you're going 15 miles
You're
an
getting
hour
ejected.
and your helmets touch each other, then
Yeah,
you're kicked
you're
out
done.
of the
You're
game.
done. And maybe
for that.
next game, depending on the time, depending on if we've hit the 2-minute timeout or warning yet.
People talk about fumbling through the end zone is the most punitive penalty in the NFL because the other team gets the ball at the 20-yard line. Getting kicked out of a game is the most punitive.
For a rule that exists 90% in gray area.
Because really close to your shoulder is your head. So if you can be trying to throw your shoulder into somebody, your helmet may. There are egregious
you
ones.
mean when everybody's running 20 miles an hour at each other, and every step the angles are changing with.
There are
with your body?
egregious. There was an egregious one last
Although
week.
this is the Minnesota game, I think.
Dude dove like he was like
his arms were straight
he
down.
was trying
we
to
talked about this.
Yeah, it was a torpedo.
Yes. Remember when he wasn't there? Yeah, we talked about
when
this.
we worked.
He just
Yeah.
he torpedoed up.
He dove just to hit him with the helmet
Yes.
only. It's like
Well,
he was,
Jason would have known if you'd have been
Yeah.
there Monday with us because we were grinding.
I was doing yard work.
Grinding away.
I was grinding in the yard work. But yeah, so you've got that as well. Just call it the 2-minute warning. All right, it's ridiculous. Mick, who's lighting it up for you?
My brother. Maybe
All right,
literally. He lives in Denver. But then also his tweet yesterday about Chiefsaholic, he said Chiefsaholic has been sentenced to 17 and a half years in prison, which is a really long time to be around that many Raiders fans.
That's brilliant. That is so good. I'm so mad that I didn't think of that.
He's good. Got the last one in.
Dylan, can I get the last clap?
Clap again, and you're not invited to my birthday party. So.
Oh, I want to go.
When's your birthday party? I'm busy that day.
When is your birthday?
When is it? Oh, busy.
The quote from the Family Guy, but my bad.
No, but when is your birthday party? You usually, I know when it is. You tell everybody.
Is
about
it on your birthday?
It's usually just a one-person event. So.
Who is lighting it up for me? Lighting it up is a random kid in Florida whose phone has been going crazy over the last 3 days with well-wished text messages and thinking about you and I hope you're doing better. Love you, brother. This kid has Ricky Pearsall's old phone number.
No way.
And his phone has been going crazy for 2 days with people still texting thinking that's Ricky Pearsall's number. And this kid is getting bombarded with text messages all day long about well wishes and everything. So it was a.
Please say he's responding, being like, "Thanks, bro. Appreciate you."
He's like 12, which I mean, I don't know that you need a phone, but whatever.
He should find Ricky Pearsall's new number, give it to all of his friends, and when he gets like an A on a science test, have them text Ricky Pearsall and say, "Nice job on the science test, bro. Way to knock biology out of the park, man."
What the heck is this all about? Yes, that's it. Yeah, but the phone was. I guess the kid's. In California, but he was inundated with get well texts after, and the story they did on him, like he's just scrolling all of these different,
Wow.
just so many texts, just like scrolling.
It's on Ricky. You should let people know, right? New phone,
Right? Yeah, like everybody
obviously
knows.
he let the people he wanted to know.
That's it, yeah.
This kid's getting texts from people that Pearsall does not want to keep in contact with anymore. This kid's getting texts from people that are contacting Ricky Pearsall for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, that is who is lighting it up. We will take a timeout and come back, and we got the cuts coming up next.
Hey everyone, it's Dylan Michaels, and Greenlight is celebrating the Chiefs getting a big win last night by giving away the best.
XB41 Sports Director. We lead up to the program coming your way at 2 o'clock. And then tonight, 6:30, Westwood One pregame, 7:15, Packers and Eagles in Brazil. So,
Is that a Peacock game? I can't remember. Right?
What's that?
Is that a Peacock game?
It is a Peacock-only game. That is right. They showed it last night that you can just scan the QR code to go download Peacock. If you didn't know how to go to the App Store, if you didn't know how to go to the App Store and download it as it is, then you'll definitely be able to scan the QR code on your phone and take you to the App Store to download Peacock. I feel like if you can know about scanning a QR code, you probably have already gone to the App Store to get it yourself. But they just wanted to cut out the middleman. All right, let's get the cuts rolling here on this Friday heading into the weekend. Things that took place this week that none of them are out of context whatsoever. You know what? You don't get to that position by half-assing things. He full-assed.
I would be upset, but it was the sports director who kind of set the schedule, and that was the only option.
Oh.
So
wait a minute, aren't you the sports director?
Yeah.
Yeah, you full-ass it, man. Don't half-ass it.
Good work.
Yes.
It was SMU, man.
And so SMU, you're trying to get better.
I'm a young cat just trying to figure out how to watch film. He goes into the head coach's office.
Yeah.
I don't know about watching film.
When Veach says you're trying to get 1% better every day.
I'm like, I don't believe it.
Did you guys see Brashad Breeland auctioned off a Super Bowl ring?
So you'd never auction it off?
No.
But you.
$1 million, but like that's it.
No, not $1 million.
10 million. You don't have a price?
No.
10 million, straight cash.
I mean,
oh, come on.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have a price.
If you wanted to bring me $10 million, I think I'd be stupid.
Wow. Oh, boy. Got that one.
Yeah.
We just took this to the next level.
I got it.
That's big money.
Yeah, and then hotel rooms and airfare and
ain't free.
Whatever else.
There it is.
Can we stop this with the curse talks?
The curse talks. There was three of them, and Dieter was so pumped that he got Sherman to cuss. Not only cuss, like he took it to the F-bomb. I mean, Dieter's just dropping S-bombs. That's it. Some GDs from time to time, but
Jake
Sherman
has to be right, just ready at all times.
Well, sometimes it's a back-to-back. I mean, you never know.
The dump button.
Oh, you got to be ready. You got to be ready. That's why for that hour, listen online.
Yes,
you'll hear everything. Go ahead.
He's been in here cranking away, so we'll see how everything goes.
Come on.
Just cranking away.
Yeah, I mean, this
is he talking about
working hard?
Is he talking about Dave Tobe's pounding table?
No, he's talking about guys getting ready for the Ravens, probably. I would guess.
They're going to send him to a penitentiary in New Orleans.
And they've already given him February 9th as a day off that he can go and visit with his family.
Work release.
He gets a work release on September 9th only.
He's going to run the chains. In chains.
That was a classic.
So good. He might. I don't know. He got 17 and a half years, but February 9th, somehow he's already got off. He put in for vacation
Great
already.
behavior. Not even just good behavior, great behavior.
You have 48 hours when you officially report to prison to put in your vacation for the next year, and he put in February 9th, and nobody else had February 9th, so it was good. He was fine.
It could have been May.
Who did this?
Dylan.
Who did this?
I would like to take credit. I don't take credit often, but
one more.
That.
Yeah,
I heard
that again.
We have
One
to hear
more.
that one again. Thank you, Matt.
It could have been May.
Could have been May. Well done, Dylan.
I don't care about my chest. I care about down there.
Oh boy. What?
He even paused there.
The hell
like
are
he knew
you?
it was coming. But.
Why?
What could I possibly been talking about?
Why are you sometimes the way that you are?
Wait, what context could that?
There's no context to that. There's no context that would work,
there's
Sterling.
one context.
There's only one context with that, okay?
There has to be another context.
There doesn't have to be.
And so you need to settle this because I think Jake is going to go real big on Texas here.
All-time delivery here.
And give up the 7.5. And I either need you to talk him down from a ledge and get him right, or maybe you believe in what Jake believes in. What do you think of this battle of top 10 teams, Texas and Michigan? Texas favored by 7.5 on the road.
Well, Jake, I'm going to tell you what my dad told me a lot of times. He says, son, don't ever pass up an opportunity to keep your mouth shut.
Gary Barnett, great. All because Jake thinks there's a double-digit win for that's interesting. Barnett clearly doesn't think that.
I'm going to pound the Owls. I'm pounding the Owls.
It's actually a federal offense.
Brother. Yeah, you can't mess with those
No,
things.
not anymore.
They're birds of prey. They're
used,
protected.
Used to be totally fine.
Endangered species, I think. Yeah.
Back when America was America.
Yeah, we can do whatever we wanted with owls.
Thanks a lot.
And you got the game ball too, so now you have 3 balls.
I talked with Melissa yesterday.
Melissa Stark, yes. Melissa Stark. Well done, Xavier Worthy. Look at you.
He's got 3 balls today.
Crazy he still runs that fast. You would think that would be holding him back. Keep going.
Shows how easy long snapping is.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Winchester. I mean, it's not, but it is. Like, if you're an athlete, I think you can do it.
You can snap
with
the,
the right
ball
coach.
back there, because I've done it. I was short snap emergency for a while.
Pretty good at it too.
Thanks, dude.
Spin that thing.
Yeah. Blocking.
Spit on that thing.
He couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself. He had to just, ooh, wait a minute. Hot Tua.
I mean, I was getting ready to talk about, making sure your Johnson rod is, all on the right place.
Whoa. Matt Derrick.
What
wow.
context?
Some car talk.
Is that the same context of yours there? Were you and Matt having a conversation about something?
Could have been.
I'm not sure. Was Melissa
been.
Stark there?
Two
with,
different
Xavier
days.
Worthy?
No.
Oh, okay. Didn't know if that was the same, different.
Game. Like,
he pounded the table.
Oh yeah, he pounded. Was
he
that
hit
Dave
the
Toe's
table.
pounding
Oh,
table?
see, well, yeah, he went back for an oldie just because you brought it up 3 times here already.
I just love Dave Toe's pounding table.
Well, it didn't even work, though.
Well, yeah, Remigio's not on it.
Right.
It was
He's on a different table.
Getting pounded?
No, he's on the practice squad table.
He must not have pounded hard enough.
No, he's a practice squad table. So he didn't make the team, which is perfectly fine because Carson Steele has looked good in kick returns.
They don't get tables or chairs on the practice squad at all, I don't think, yeah.
Really?
Foldable? Maybe it's like
well, that's the thing
floor, just a pounding floor.
They've increased their salary now. You got to cut back elsewhere.
Yeah.
So that's like when these colleges are like, hold on, we're going to have to pay the players now. So I guess we're going to have to cut back on women's sports then. Not the coaches' salaries. We're going to have to, where's the money going to come from? It's got to come from somewhere. I guess women's sports is going to get cut. That's the only thing we can think of. Well, your coach is winning 4 games and has an $8 million contract. Yeah, but how are we going to afford field hockey if we pay these players? Just the only way we can get it from. That's all I can think of. Program next.